The entire underground empire of Seoul stood on the edge of collapse the night Mafia boss J-Hun inherited his father's throne, not from a bullet or betrayal, but from an impossible quantum encryption system that locked away every secret keeping him alive. 3 weeks of failure. Midnight deadline approaching. Then fate dropped a black American programmer named Naomi into his path in a crowded Myeongdong street, a woman destroyed by the same technology now choking his empire. She didn't know who he was. He immediately knew she might be the only person capable of saving him. But when she cracked his father's encryption in 30 seconds, J-Hun realized something far more dangerous than gratitude: obsession. If you want to see how far manipulation, betrayal, and something almost like love can push two damaged people before they break completely, stay with me until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. The Glass Tower of Kang Holdings didn't look like the nerve center of Seoul's most powerful criminal syndicate, and that was entirely the point. 47 stories of steel and mirrored windows reflecting the legitimate business empire built on decades of extortion, bribery, political corruption, and violence so efficient, most people never knew it happened. On the 45th floor, in a conference room where the air conditioning ran cold enough to make executives shiver during presentations, J-Hun watched 3 cybersecurity analysts fail for the 8th consecutive hour. The lead analyst, some overpaid consultant from Tokyo with credentials plastered across his resume like armor, kept typing commands that produced nothing but error messages. His hands shook slightly, smart enough to be terrified. "Explain it again," J-Hun said quietly. The consultant swallowed. "The encryption architecture is quantum level, military grade, possibly experimental. Every access point requires biometric authentication tied specifically to your father's neural patterns and retinal signatures. Without those, my father's been dead 3 weeks." J-Hyun's voice carried no emotion, just fact. "Find another way." "There is no other way." The consultant's voice cracked slightly. "Whoever designed this system built it to be unbreakable. Even if we had the original programmer, the computational power required to bypass—" J-Hun stood. The room went silent. He wasn't physically imposing in the way people expected from someone controlling half of Seoul's underground operations. Tall but lean, sharp-featured, 32 years old and already carrying the exhausted tension of someone who'd been groomed for violence since childhood. But when J-Hun moved, people stopped breathing. "You have until midnight," he said. "After that, I start making calls about how your company couldn't deliver on a contract worth $8 million. About how maybe your certifications aren't as legitimate as your website claims. About how certain government regulators might find irregularities in your tax filings going back 5 years. The consultant's face went white. "That's midnight," J-Hun repeated. Then he walked out. His head of security, Park Sung-min, fell into step beside him in the hallway. Older, ex-military. One of the few people who'd worked for J-Hyun's father and survived the transition. "They're not going to crack it," Sung-min said bluntly. "I know. Without access to those accounts, we can't pay protection to the district police chiefs, can't transfer funds to the politicians, can't access the blackmail archives or the offshore routing numbers. Every operation your father built over 40 years is locked behind that encryption. I'm aware. The other families are watching." Sung-min's voice dropped lower. "Your cousin's been making calls, suggesting maybe you're not ready for this. Maybe the transition should have gone differently." J-Hun stopped walking, turned, looked at Sung-min directly. "Min-woo thinks he should have inherited." "Min-woo thinks a lot of things. Is he moving against me?" Sung-min hesitated. That hesitation told J-Hun everything. "Not yet," Sung-min finally said. "But if we can't access those accounts by the end of the month, the other families will stop paying tribute. They'll see weakness, and once that starts—" "I need air," J-Hun interrupted. "Keep the analysts working. I'll be back before midnight." Sung-min looked like he wanted to argue. Didn't. Just nodded and walked back toward the conference room. J-Hun took the private elevator down to the parking garage, bypassed his driver, and walked out into the Seoul night alone. Myeongdong at 9 p.m. felt like organized chaos. Neon signs reflecting off wet pavement, Street vendors shouting over K-pop blasting from storefront speakers. Tourists packed shoulder to shoulder hunting for cosmetics and fried chicken and knockoff designer bags. J-Hun moved through it like a ghost. Nobody recognized him. The Kong family kept photographs out of media, stayed invisible. That invisibility had kept them powerful for generations. He wasn't sure why he came here. Maybe because the noise made it easier not to think. Maybe because walking among people who had no idea who he was felt like the only honest thing left in his life. His father had groomed him for this since childhood. Every decision calculated, every emotion weaponized. Love was leverage. Trust was weakness. The old man had beaten those lessons into J-Hyun's psychology with the same methodical precision he used running the syndicate. And now the old bastard was dead. Massive stroke. No warning. Just collapsed during a meeting with a senator and never woke up, leaving J-Hun holding an empire he'd been trained to inherit but never actually wanted. He stopped at a Pojang Matcha, one of those small outdoor food tents selling soju and tteokbokki to drunk office workers. Ordered a bottle. Sat on a plastic stool that wobbled slightly. The ajumma running the tent didn't recognize him either, just poured his drink and went back to stirring her pot. J-Hyun knocked back the soju. Didn't taste it, just felt the burn. 3 weeks since the funeral. 3 weeks of locked accounts and growing whispers and Min-woo's poisonous ambition spreading through the organization like infection. His phone buzzed. Text from Sung Min. Analyst requesting extension. Should I approve? Jae-hyun typed back, no. Midnight deadline stands. Another buzz. Different number. Min-woo. Heard you're having technical difficulties, cousin. If you need help managing father's legacy, all you have to do is ask. Jae-hyun deleted the message without responding. Poured another shot. That's when he saw her. The woman sat 3 stools down, hunched over a plastic bowl of ramyun like she was guarding it from theft. Black. American, probably, based on the way she held herself. That particular combination of confidence and exhaustion that came from navigating a country where you didn't quite fit. Late 20s, natural hair pulled back, wearing a worn laptop bag across her chest like armor. She wasn't eating the ramyun, just staring at it. Jae-hyun noticed because he'd spent his entire life reading people. Body language. Micro-expressions. The tiny tells that revealed intention. This woman looked like someone barely holding herself together. The ajumma said something to her in Korean. The woman responded in broken, heavily accented phrases. Apologizing. Explaining she'd asked for something different. The ajumma waved her off, irritated, muttering about foreigners who couldn't read menus properly. The woman's shoulders tensed. She pulled out a sad-looking wallet. Started counting bills that clearly weren't enough. Jae-Hun didn't know why he cared. Didn't know why he spoke. Put your money away, he said in English. I'll cover it. The woman's head snapped up, stared at him. Her eyes were sharp, suspicious, intelligent in a way that immediately marked her as dangerous. I don't need charity, she said. Didn't offer charity. Offered to pay for ramyun you're not eating anyway. Her jaw tightened. I can handle my own situation. Clearly. They stared at each other. Some kind of standoff happening over cheap street food and wounded pride. Finally, she looked away first. Shoved the bills across the counter. The ajumma took them, gave her change. The woman stood up to leave. Wait, Jae-Hyun said. She paused. Didn't turn around. You're American. Programmer, based on the laptop bag. Probably here on a visa. Struggling to find work because Korean companies don't trust foreign credentials. He wasn't guessing. He was reading. Something went wrong back home. Bad enough you had to leave. Not bad enough you could stay gone. Now she turned. Her expression had shifted from suspicious to something colder. Who the hell are you? Someone making an observation. Yeah, here's an observation. She stepped closer, voice low and sharp. You're wearing a $10,000 suit in a tent selling $3 ramyun. You're drinking alone but checking your phone every 30 seconds like you're waiting for bad news. And you're talking to random women in street markets because whatever situation you're running from is worse than dealing with strangers. Jae-Hyun felt something unexpected. Amusement. You're good at reading people? I have to be. She turned to leave again. I might have work, Jae-Hyun said. Didn't plan it. The words just came out. She stopped, looked back. What kind of work? Technical problem? Encryption? Complicated? I don't do freelance anymore. I pay well. I don't care. Then why are you still standing here? Silence. She stared at him, something calculating happening behind her eyes. Finally, what's the problem? Quantum-level encryption system. Biometric authentication locks. Previous programmer designed it to be unbreakable. Current team can't access it. Sounds like you hired the wrong team. Probably. Or the previous programmer didn't want it cracked. Also possible. She shifted her laptop bag, thinking, why should I trust you? You shouldn't. Not a great sales pitch. Wasn't selling, just offering. J-Hun pulled out a business card. Plain. Just a phone number. Nothing else. If you change your mind, she took the card, studied it. No name, no company, just a number. That's all you need. For all I know, you're some creep who targets desperate women in food tents. For all I know, you're running from something illegal back in America. J-Hun stood, left cash on the counter, enough to cover both their meals 3 times over. But I don't actually care what you're running from. I care whether you can solve my problem. He started walking. Behind him, wait. He stopped, turned. The woman looked furious. At herself, probably. How much? 10,000 American, half up front. Other half when the problem's solved. That's insane. That's what it's worth to me. Hesitation. She looked down at the card again, back at him. When? Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Address will be texted to this number. He tapped his phone. Bring your laptop, bring your skills, don't bring questions. What if I can't solve it? Then you walk away $5,000 richer than you are right now. She bit her lower lip, thinking. Finally, I need the upfront payment tonight before I agree to anything. Smart. Protecting herself. Give me your account information. She rattled off numbers. J-Hun typed them into his phone. Transferred $5,000 while standing in the middle of Myeongdong. Hit send. Her phone buzzed a moment later. She checked it. Eyes widened slightly. Holy shit! 9 a.m., J-Hun repeated. Then walked away into the crowd before she could ask anything else. He made it back to Kong Holdings by 11:30. The analysts were still failing. Sungmin met him at the elevator. Wow, where did you go? Out. We have 25 minutes before your deadline. The team is... Fire them. Sungmin blinked. Sir? Fire them. Pay the contract cancellation fee. Get them out of the building. You found someone else? Maybe. Maybe. J-Hun walked past him toward his office. Send the address for tomorrow's meeting to this number. He forwarded the woman's contact information. 9 a.m., conference room B. Make sure security knows she's coming. Who is she? A chance. Sungmin followed him. J-Hun, if this doesn't work, sis, then we're finished anyway. He stopped at his office door, looked back. My father built this empire by taking risks other people wouldn't take, by seeing opportunities in unexpected places. That woman solved a problem in 30 seconds of conversation that an entire team couldn't crack in 8 hours. What problem? She identified exactly why I was in that market. Read me completely. Didn't back down when I pushed her. J-Hun opened his office door. Anyone that perceptive, that fearless, that desperate, she's either going to save us or destroy us. Either way, we'll know by tomorrow afternoon. Sungmin didn't look reassured. And if she's dangerous, then she fits right in. What? Naomi Adebayo sat in her tiny Goshiwon room, basically a closet with a bed and a desk, staring at her bank account on her laptop screen. $5,000. Just sitting there. Real. She'd been in Seoul for 4 months. 4 months of rejection emails and expired visa anxieties and slowly burning through her savings from New York. 4 months of trying to outrun what happened back home. Her hands were shaking. She'd told herself she was done with tech work, done with systems and code and the kind of consulting that required trusting people who inevitably betrayed that trust. She'd deleted her LinkedIn, stopped answering recruiter emails, tried convincing herself she could just disappear into Seoul's English teaching market and rebuild something smaller. But $5,000. Naomi pulled up the business card photo on her phone. Just a number. No name. No company. The man had been strange, too calm, too calculated. The kind of person who moved through the world like he owned pieces of it nobody else could see. She should have walked away, should have recognized the danger. But that's what her therapist back in New York would have said. That Naomi had a pattern, brilliant at reading systems, terrible at reading people, attracted to complications, drew to challenges that inevitably exploded. Her laptop pinged. New text message. Address for tomorrow, 9 a.m., 45th floor. Ask for Mr. Kang. Naomi typed the address into Google Maps. Kang Holdings. One of Seoul's biggest corporate towers. Legitimate business. Respectable. So why did everything about this feel wrong? She opened her banking app again. Stared at that $5,000. She'd left New York because her supervisor at Cybertech Solutions, brilliant, charismatic Daniel Chen, had stolen her quantum encryption algorithm and sold it to private buyers for millions. When Naomi tried reporting him, he'd buried her under legal threats and professional sabotage until her reputation was destroyed. 6 years of work. Gone. Because she'd trusted the wrong person. The algorithm she'd designed, the one Daniel stole, had been elegant, unbreakable, beautiful in its complexity. And if this mysterious Mr. Kang was dealing with quantum encryption problems, Naomi's hand stopped shaking. She knew exactly what that meant. Skipped. Morning came too fast. Naomi wore her only professional outfit, a blazer that didn't quite fit anymore, and pants she'd bought at a second-hand market. Took the subway to Gangnam, stared at Kang Holdings from the street. The building looked like money, like power, like the kind of place where she definitely didn't belong. She almost turned around. Then her phone buzzed. Bank notification. Another $5,000. The second half. Paid in advance. The message attached. Take the private elevator. Security knows you're coming. Naomi walked into the lobby. The security guard checked her ID, made a phone call, nodded toward a separate elevator bank. She stepped inside. The elevator shot upward so smoothly she barely felt it move. 45th floor. The doors opened onto a reception area that looked like it belonged in an art museum. Everything glass and steel and expensive silence. A woman in a perfect suit greeted her. Miss Adebayo, this way. She followed down a hallway, past offices with closed doors, past conference rooms where men in expensive suits sat in meetings that probably decided things that mattered. Finally, into a large room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul. The man from the food tent stood at the windows, looked different in daylight, still wearing an expensive suit, still carrying that same dangerous calm. You came, he said. You paid in full before I even started. Seemed rude not to show up. He almost smiled. Practical. What is this really? Naomi set her laptop bag down. Because legitimate companies don't hire random foreigners off the street and pay $10,000 for consulting work without contracts or NDAs or even knowing if I'm qualified. Show her, he said. The woman who'd escorted her tapped something on a tablet. The far wall illuminated, massive screens showing what looked like a login interface. Except the architecture was wrong, too complex, too layered. Naomi stepped closer. Her stomach dropped. She knew this system. She'd built this system. Where did you get this? Her voice came out strangled. My father purchased it 6 years ago from an American cybersecurity firm. 6 years ago. Cybertech Solutions. Daniel Chen. What's your name? Naomi demanded. Kang J-Hun. What do you do? I run this company. Bullshit. She spun to face him. This isn't consulting. This is something else. What did you really buy from Cybertech? What was this encryption protecting? J-Hun studied her carefully. You recognize it. I designed it. The words burned coming out. My supervisor stole my work and sold it, destroyed my career, ruined my reputation. And you're the buyer. Silence filled the room. Did you know? Naomi asked. When you approached me last night, did you know who I was? No. Liar. I'm many things. Liar isn't one of them. J-Hun moved closer. I approached you because you were clearly desperate and intelligent, and I needed someone capable of cracking an impossible problem. I didn't know you designed the system until 30 seconds ago. How convenient. Fate or coincidence? Does it matter? He gestured toward the screens. You want revenge on the man who destroyed you. I want access to accounts that keep my entire operation running. We both get what we need. What operation? The kind you should probably stop asking questions about. Naomi looked at the screens. At the encryption architecture she'd spent 18 months designing, the most complex system she'd ever created, beautiful and unbreakable and stolen. She could destroy it in 30 seconds. She could finally prove what Daniel Chen had done to her. I want full documentation, she said. Transaction records, original purchase contracts, everything connecting this system to Cybertech Solutions. Why? Because you're going to help me burn the man who stole my work. J-Hun's expression shifted, something almost like respect. And in exchange, I'll give you access to your accounts. I'll rebuild your security architecture. I'll make sure nobody can lock you out again. Just like that? Just like that. He extended his hand. Deal. She shook it. His grip was firm, controlled, the hand of someone who'd spent years learning when to let go and when to hold on. Naomi turned to the screens, pulled out her laptop, started typing. The encryption collapsed in 28 seconds. Files exploded across every screen in the room. Decades of data, financial records, transaction logs, names, addresses, blackmail material, political connections, criminal operations spanning generations. J-Hun stood frozen, watching his entire empire laid bare. Naomi felt sick. What have you gotten me into? She whispered. Behind her, the door opened. Park Sung-min entered, stopped, stared at the screens, looked at J-Hun. Sir, we have a problem. What kind of problem? Your cousin just called an emergency board meeting. He's challenging your authority, claiming you're unfit to lead. Sung-min's face was grim. He's making his move. J-Hun's expression didn't change, but something in the room shifted. The temperature dropped. He looked at Naomi. Can you secure these files? Make sure nobody else can access them? Yes, but do it now. His voice turned sharp. Command, not request. Naomi's hands moved automatically. Years of training overriding panic. She encrypted the files, new security protocols, biometric locks tied to J-Hun's access alone. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, rewriting system architecture in real time. Done, she said finally. Nobody gets in without your authorization. J-Hun nodded once, turned to Sung-min. Where's the meeting? 20 minutes, executive boardroom. Good. He straightened his suit jacket, looked at Naomi. You're coming with me. What? No, I unlocked your system. That was the deal. The deal changed. He moved toward the door. You just became the most valuable person in this building. Until I know exactly what's happening, you stay where I can see you. I'm not your property. He stopped, looked back. His eyes were cold, empty. The man from the food tent completely gone. No, he agreed. But you just accessed information that makes you either my greatest asset or my biggest liability. Until I know which, you don't leave this building. Naomi felt ice crawl up her spine. She'd made a terrible mistake, and there was no way out. The executive boardroom occupied the entire west wing of the 47th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Han River. A table long enough to seat 30 people carved from a single piece of dark wood that probably cost more than Naomi's entire education. When J-Hun walked in with Naomi trailing behind him and Park Sung-min flanking his other side, every head in the room turned. Naomi counted quickly. 23 men, 2 women, all of them wearing expressions that ranged from hostile to calculating. The air smelled like expensive cologne and something darker underneath. Fear, maybe. Or ambition. At the far end of the table sat a man who looked enough like J-Hun to be family, but carried himself completely differently. Older by maybe 5 years, broader. Smiled too easily. That smile didn't reach his eyes. Cousin, the man said, so glad you could join us, and you brought a guest. How unexpected. J-Hun pulled out a chair, sat, gestured for Naomi to sit beside him. She did, feeling every eye in the room dissecting her presence. Min Woo, J-Hun said flatly. I wasn't aware we had a scheduled board meeting. Emergency session. Article 17 of the corporate charter allows any senior board member to call one with sufficient cause. Minwoo's smile widened. And I believe we have sufficient cause. Explain. 3 weeks since your father's death. 3 weeks of locked accounts and failed security consultants and growing instability. The other families are watching. Our political connections are nervous. Our operations are hemorrhaging money. Minwoo leaned forward. Some of us are concerned you're not capable of leading this organization through crisis. Silence. Heavy and dangerous. And you believe you're more capable, J-Hun said. I believe I have experience you lack. I've been running the Western District operations for 8 years, built relationships you've never bothered maintaining. While you were playing corporate executive, I was in the streets keeping this empire functional. The streets, J-Hun's voice stayed calm, too calm. Is that what we're calling extortion and protection rackets now? Minwoo's smile sharpened. I'm calling it results, something you haven't delivered since inheriting this position. An older man 3 seats down cleared his throat. Mr. Kang, the younger Mr. Kang, perhaps you can explain the current status of the access situation. We were told you terminated the previous consulting team. I found a better solution. This woman? Minwoo gestured toward Naomi like she was furniture. An American nobody hired off the street? An American expert who cracked your father's encryption in under 30 seconds, J-Hun corrected, while your recommended team failed for 8 consecutive hours. The room shifted. Subtle movements, bodies leaning forward, interest sharpening. She cracked it? Someone asked. Full access restored, all accounts unlocked, new security protocols implemented. As of 1 hour ago, the Kang Syndicate is fully operational. Minwoo's expression flickered, just for a second. Surprise, then something colder. You're claiming this random foreigner succeeded where Tokyo's best cybersecurity firm failed. I'm not claiming. I'm stating fact. Then prove it. J-Hun pulled out his phone, tapped something. The wall screens activated, showing account balances, transaction capabilities, encrypted file access. Everything that had been locked for 3 weeks suddenly laid bare. The room went silent. Naomi felt her stomach twist. She'd just helped a criminal organization regain control of what looked like hundreds of millions of dollars in illegal operations. Her hands gripped the armrests of her chair hard enough her knuckles went white. Minwoo stood slowly, walked to the screens, studied them. His jaw worked like he was chewing glass. Impressive, he said finally. Turned, looked at Naomi directly. What's your name? Naomi Adebayo. American? Yes. Credentials? Does it matter? J-Hun interrupted. She delivered results. That's what matters. It matters, Minwoo said softly, because I don't trust convenient coincidences. 3 weeks of failure, then suddenly a mysterious American programmer appears exactly when needed? That feels orchestrated. By who? That's what I'm asking. The tension in the room ratcheted higher. Naomi felt it pressing against her chest, making it hard to breathe. An older woman near the middle of the table spoke up, sharp-featured, calculating eyes. Perhaps Miss Adebayo could explain how she cracked an encryption system designed to be unbreakable. Naomi's throat went dry. I recognized the architecture. Recognized it how? I designed it 6 years ago. The company I worked for sold it without my knowledge. Dead silence. Then Minwoo laughed. Not humor. Something uglier. You designed it. How wonderfully convenient. Tell me, Miss Adebayo, who did your company sell this encryption to? Naomi looked at J-Hun. He gave her nothing. No signal, no guidance, just that same controlled emptiness. Cybertech Solutions sold it to a Korean buyer, Naomi said carefully. I wasn't told who, and now you're here, working for the very organization that purchased your stolen work. Minwoo circled back toward his seat. Anyone else find that suspicious? I find it useful, J-Hun said, which is more than I can say for this meeting. This meeting is about accountability, about leadership, about whether you're fit to carry our father's legacy. Our father chose me. Our father died before finishing his transition plan. That makes succession an open question. J-Hun stood, slowly. The movement drew every eye in the room. My father chose me 8 years ago, groomed me, trained me, built this corporate structure specifically so I could inherit cleanly. You know this, Minwoo. Everyone in this room knows this. I know he made a choice before he understood how complicated the world would become. Before quantum encryption and digital warfare and international scrutiny made street experience more valuable than business school credentials. Is that what this is? A coup dressed up as concern? Minwoo smiled, cold. This is democracy. Article 19 allows the board to call a vote of no confidence in current leadership. I'm invoking that article. The room erupted. Not shouting, worse. Quiet conversations, side glances, the sound of power shifting beneath the surface. Park Sung-min leaned close to J-Hun, whispered something. J-Hun's expression didn't change. You don't have the votes, J-Hun said clearly. Don't I? Minwoo looked around the table. Who here believes the current leadership is stable? Who thinks we're stronger now than we were a month ago? Hands started rising, slowly, reluctantly, but rising. Naomi counted. 8, 9, 12. Not quite half, but close enough to be terrifying. Minwoo's smile widened. Motion to delay the vote until next week. Give everyone time to consider carefully. All in favor? More hands. The vote passed. J-Hun stood perfectly still, his face blank. But Naomi saw his hands, saw the fingers curled into fists at his sides, the knuckles bloodless. Meeting adjourned, Minwoo announced. We reconvene next Friday, 9 a.m. Bring your conscience. People started standing, filing out. Some avoided looking at J-Hun. Others stared, measuring, calculating. Naomi stayed seated until the room emptied. Finally, only J-Hun, Sung-min, and Minwoo remained. Minwoo approached, stopped a few feet away. I'm not trying to destroy you, cousin. I'm trying to save this family. By taking what's mine. By taking what you're not ready to hold. Minwoo glanced at Naomi. Be careful who you trust. Sometimes the solution to one problem becomes the cause of something worse. Then he walked out. The silence that followed felt crushing. How bad is this? Naomi asked quietly. J-Hun didn't answer immediately, just stared at the empty boardroom like he was memorizing everyone who'd raised their hand. You should leave, he said finally. What? This building, this city. Whatever currency you still have that hasn't been converted to Korean won, use it. Get on a plane, go anywhere, just go. You said I couldn't leave. That was before. He turned, looked at her directly. His eyes were different now, older somehow. I dragged you into something dangerous because I was desperate. That was selfish. But you delivered. You kept your end, so I'm giving you an exit before things get worse. What happens if you lose that vote? I don't lose. But if you do? Jae-hyun's jaw tightened. Then Minwoo takes control, and anyone loyal to me becomes a liability. That includes you. Naomi stood. Her legs felt unsteady. What about the documentation I asked for? The proof connecting Cybertech to this purchase? I'll have Sung-min send everything to your email within the hour. Consider it severance. That's it? We're done? We were always temporary. You just didn't realize it yet. Something hot flared in Naomi's chest. Anger, maybe. Or hurt. You used me. Yes. You knew exactly what you were doing when you approached me in that market. Yes. Did you plan any of it? Or was it really just coincidence? Jae-Hun smiled, bitter. Does it matter? It matters to me. Then believe whichever version helps you sleep better. He moved toward the door, paused. You're brilliant, Naomi. You deserve better than getting caught in my family's wars. Then he left. Naomi stood alone in the boardroom. Her reflection stared back from the darkened screens. She looked small, lost. Park Sung-min appeared in the doorway. Miss Adebayo, I'll escort you to the elevator. She followed silently. Down the hallway, past offices where people quickly looked away when they passed, into the elevator. As the doors closed, Sung-min handed her a phone. Burner, my number is saved. If you need anything, if anyone approaches you about what happened here, call immediately. Why would anyone approach me? Because Minwoo doesn't leave loose ends. The elevator descended. And you just became a very loose end. The doors opened. Ground floor. Sungmin gestured toward the exit. Naomi walked out into Seoul's afternoon heat. The city pressed around her, loud, chaotic, indifferent. She made it 3 blocks before her hands started shaking. Suck it. Her Goshiwon room felt smaller than ever. Naomi sat on the edge of her bed, laptop open, staring at her email inbox. The documentation Sungmin promised arrived 20 minutes after she got home. 15 PDFs, transaction records, purchase contracts, emails between Cybertech Solutions and Kang Holdings dating back 6 years. Daniel Chen's signature on every page. Proof. Finally, undeniable proof of what he'd done to her. Naomi opened the first PDF. Read. Her hands stopped shaking, replaced by something colder. Calculation. Daniel had sold her encryption algorithm for $8 million, split the payment with 2 other Cybertech executives, buried Naomi's contribution under layers of forged documentation, claiming he'd designed the system himself. She'd known he stole her work, but seeing the exact dollar amount, seeing how thoroughly he'd erased her, felt like being gutted. Her phone buzzed. Not the burner, her regular phone. Email from an unknown sender. No subject line, just a link and a message. Thought you should see this. Naomi's instinct screamed not to click. She clicked anyway. The link opened to a private photo gallery. Security camera footage from Kang Holdings, time-stamped from the day before. The market in Myeongdong. Except the footage showed something she hadn't seen while it was happening. J-Hun entering the market from a different angle. Not wandering. Walking deliberately toward the Pojangmacha tent, like he knew exactly where he was going. A man handing him something, looked like a photograph. J-Hun studying it, nodding, then approaching Naomi's tent. The photograph was visible for just 3 frames. Naomi zoomed in, enhanced the image as much as possible. It was her. A candid shot. Walking near Hongdae Station, taken recently based on the clothes she was wearing. Her stomach dropped. The meeting hadn't been coincidence. J-Hun had known exactly who she was, had orchestrated the entire encounter. Another email arrived. Same unknown sender. He's been watching you for 2 weeks. Tracked you from the moment you entered Korea. Everything was planned. You're not a solution. You're a tool. Naomi stood up, paced her tiny room. 3 steps one direction, turn. 3 steps back. She'd been so stupid. Bought into the coincidence. The convenient timing, the mysterious job offer. Her phone rang. The burner. Sungmin's number. She answered. What? You need to leave Seoul. Sungmin's voice was urgent. Tonight. Don't pack, just go. Why? Because Minwoo just put a price on your head. He's telling people you're a corporate spy, that you planted malware in J-Hyun's systems, that you're working for foreign intelligence. That's insane. Doesn't matter if it's true. Matters if people believe it. And Minwoo is very convincing. Where's J-Hyun? Dealing with this. But he can't protect you if you stay visible. I'm not running. Miss Adebayo, I'm not running, Naomi repeated. Harder. He used me, manipulated me, made me complicit in whatever criminal operation he's running. I deserve answers before I disappear. Silence on the line. Then, if you go back to that building, you won't leave alive. Then he better make time for a phone call. She hung up. 30 seconds later, her regular phone rang. Unknown number, she answered. You're making a mistake. J-Hun's voice, flat, exhausted. Did you plan it? Naomi demanded. The meeting in Myeongdong, did you track me? Set it up? Pause. Long enough to be an answer by itself. Yes. The word hit like a fist. Why? Because I researched every programmer capable of cracking quantum encryption in East Asia. Your name came up, your algorithm came up, and when I found out you were in Seoul, desperate and isolated, I saw an opportunity. I trusted you. You trusted $10,000. Don't confuse survival instinct with trust. You made me part of this. You made me complicit in your criminal organization. And now your cousin is trying to kill me because I'm inconvenient. Which is why you need to leave. No. Naomi's voice shook. Not from fear, from rage. You don't get to use me and then discard me. You want me gone? Fine. But first you give me everything. Every file. Every piece of evidence connecting Daniel Chen to this deal. Every email, every transaction, every document that proves what he did. I already sent you the documentation. That's not enough. I want access to your servers. I want everything you have on Cybertech Solutions. I want enough evidence to bury him so deep he never surfaces. That's the price. Naomi cut him off. You manipulated me. You endangered my life. You want me to disappear quietly? That's what it costs. Silence stretched. Finally, you come here one more time tonight, midnight, private entrance. Sungmin will meet you. You get 1 hour of server access, then you leave Korea and never contact me again. Deal. Naomi. His voice changed, softer, almost human. I didn't want this. I didn't want you hurt. But you needed something, and I was convenient. Yes. Then we understand each other perfectly. She hung up. Midnight arrived cold and clear. Naomi took a taxi to Kang Holdings. The building looked different at night, darker, more honest somehow. Park Sung-min waited at a side entrance, looked exhausted. You're sure about this? I'm not sure about anything. That's why I'm here. He led her inside, through empty hallways, up a service elevator, into a small technical room lined with servers. A single workstation sat in the corner, already logged in. 1 hour, Sung-min said. Take what you need, then I escort you to Incheon Airport personally, non-negotiable. Naomi sat down, cracked her knuckles, started typing. The Kang Holdings servers opened like flowers. She navigated through layers of security she'd helped build that morning, found the Cybertech transaction files, downloaded everything, then kept digging. 30 minutes in, she found something else. Communication logs between Kang Holdings and Cybertech. Not just the purchase negotiation. Ongoing correspondence. Recent emails from the past 6 months between Daniel Chen and someone named Kang Min-woo. Naomi's blood went cold. She opened the emails. Read. Daniel and Min-woo had been in contact for years. Not about encryption. About something else. About Naomi specifically. Min-woo had paid Daniel to steal her work, had orchestrated her professional destruction, had arranged for her to flee to Seoul, had tracked her movements, reported them to J-Hun. This wasn't coincidence. This was a setup. Naomi kept reading, deeper into the correspondence. Her hands started shaking again. Min-woo's plan was spelled out in careful, clinical detail. Use Naomi's stolen algorithm to lock the Kang Syndicate's accounts after the old boss died. Wait for J-Hun to become desperate. Then make sure Naomi, angry, isolated, perfect, crossed his path at exactly the right moment. Let J-Hun think he was manipulating her, when really Min-woo was manipulating them both. The goal: make J-Hun dependent on an outsider, someone with no loyalty to the organization, someone whose presence would fracture board confidence, then expose the manipulation publicly, destroy J-Hyun's credibility, take control. Naomi was never a solution. She was a weapon, aimed at J-Hun from the beginning. Oh my God, she whispered. Behind her, the door opened. She spun, expected Sung-min, found Min-woo instead. He smiled. Hello, Naomi. I've been waiting to meet you properly. Her hand went for the burner phone in her pocket. He crossed the room faster than she expected, grabbed her wrist, squeezed until she dropped the phone. Please don't make this difficult, Min-woo said pleasantly. I'm not here to hurt you, just to clarify some things. Where's Sung-min? Dealing with a security situation I arranged. We have about 15 minutes before anyone realizes I'm here. Naomi tried pulling away. His grip tightened. Not enough to bruise, just enough to communicate control. You're very clever, Min-woo continued. I knew you would be. That's why I chose you. Smart enough to crack my father's encryption. Angry enough to be reckless. Desperate enough to be useful. You orchestrated everything. Of course I did. Did you really think my cousin just stumbled onto you in a market? Please. He released her wrist, stepped back. J-Hyun believes he's a strategist, but he's just a boy playing with tools he doesn't understand. I'm the one who built this trap. Why? Because my father gave the empire to the wrong son, and sometimes correction requires patience. Minwoo gestured at the workstation. You found the emails. Good. I wanted you to find them. Why? Because you're about to become very important. Tomorrow, I'm calling another emergency board meeting, and this time I'm presenting evidence that my cousin hired a known corporate spy, a woman with ties to international cybercrime, to infiltrate our systems. That he gave you complete access to our most sensitive operations. That he's been compromised by a foreign intelligence asset. That's a lie. Is it? You're American. You work in encryption. You have a documented history of workplace conflicts and professional instability. And now you've been given access to one of Korea's largest underground criminal organizations. Minwoo smiled. People will believe what makes sense, and this makes perfect sense. J-Hun will deny it. J-Hun will have no choice but to distance himself from you, which means you become expendable to everyone. Naomi felt the walls closing in. What do you want? I want you to disappear. Quietly. Completely. Leave Korea tonight. Never speak about what happened here. In exchange, I won't release this evidence. I won't destroy you a second time. And if I refuse, then I make your life very painful, very public, very permanent. His expression didn't change, still pleasant, still controlled. You've already lost this game, Naomi. You lost it the moment Daniel Chen stole your work. Everything since then has been me moving pieces into position. You're a monster. I'm practical. Minwoo moved toward the door, stopped. Your plane leaves at 6 a.m. Sungmin will take you to the airport. Don't try contacting my cousin. Don't try warning anyone. Just leave. And if I go to the police, tell them everything? He laughed, genuinely amused. Tell them what? That you illegally accessed private corporate systems? That you're involved with organized crime? That you have no proof of anything except your own guilty participation? He opened the door. Be smart, Naomi. You've been used. Accept it. Move on, or keep fighting and discover exactly how much worse things can get. Then he left. Naomi stood alone in the server room, surrounded by machines holding evidence she couldn't use, proof of manipulation she couldn't leverage. She looked at the workstation, at the downloaded files, at the emails spelling out her entire destruction. Her hands moved automatically, copying everything to an encrypted drive. Evidence, ammunition, something. The door opened again, Sungmin this time, looking panicked. We need to leave, now. Minwoo is… I know, he was here. Sungmin's face went white. Did he hurt you? Just threatened me. Naomi disconnected the drive, pocketed it. Is J-Hun here? In his office. I need to see him. That's not… I need to see him, Naomi repeated. 5 minutes, then I'll leave, I promise. But I need 5 minutes. Sungmin looked torn, finally nodded. 5 minutes, then we go straight to the airport. They took the elevator up. 47th floor, executive suite. J-Hun sat behind his desk, looked like he hadn't slept in days. He stood when she entered. You're supposed to be accessing servers, not… Your cousin set everything up, Naomi interrupted. From the beginning, he paid Daniel Chen to steal my work. He orchestrated my career destruction. He made sure I ended up in Seoul, desperate and angry, at exactly the right time for you to find me. Everything was planned. We were both played. J-Hun went very still. Explain. She did, quickly. The emails, Minwoo's confession, the trap closing around both of them. When she finished, J-Hun sat down slowly. How much of it can you prove? All of it. I downloaded everything. Then we take it to the board, expose him before the vote. It won't work, Naomi's voice cracked. He's already planning to frame me as a foreign intelligence asset. The moment you defend me, you look compromised. The moment you produce evidence, it looks like desperation. He wins either way. Silence filled the office. Heavy, suffocating. I didn't know, J-Hun said quietly. I thought I was manipulating the situation. I didn't realize I was being manipulated. Neither of us did. That's why it worked. He looked up at her, something broken in his expression. I'm sorry. So am I. What will you do? Leave, like he wants. Disappear. Try rebuilding somewhere else. Naomi's hands clenched. What will you do? Lose, probably. Minwoo has positioned this perfectly. Even if I survive the vote, I'll spend the next year fighting challenges. Eventually, he'll win. Then fight differently. How? Naomi stepped closer to his desk. You said I'm brilliant, that I'm capable, that I delivered results. Yes. Then hire me. Not as a consultant, as a permanent executive, chief technology officer. Give me a contract, a title, a paper trail that proves I'm not a spy. I'm an employee. Someone you vetted and chose deliberately. Turn me from a liability into an asset so obvious Minwoo can't frame me without looking desperate himself. J-Hun stared at her. That makes you a target. I'm already a target. At least this way I'm a target with resources. It also makes you complicit, permanently, no walking away. I stopped being able to walk away the moment I cracked that encryption. Naomi's voice steadied. Your cousin destroyed my career once. I'm not letting him do it again. So either we both lose or we fight back together. Your choice. The silence stretched. Jae-hyun stood, walked to the window, stared out at Seoul's midnight skyline. Finally, if you stay, things will get dangerous. Minwoo doesn't bluff. He'll come after you, after us, with everything he has. Good. Let him come. Why are you doing this? Revenge? Survival. Naomi moved beside him, looked out at the same view. I spent 6 years running from what Daniel Chen did to me. Running from the theft, the humiliation, the destruction. I'm done running. If I'm going to be destroyed again, at least this time I'll see it coming. J-Hun turned, looked at her directly. Something shifted in his expression. Respect, maybe. Or recognition. Okay, he said. But we do this my way. No more secrets. No more manipulation. If we're going to survive this, we survive it honestly. Agreed. He extended his hand. She shook it. Behind them, the office door burst open. Park Sung-min stood there, out of breath. Sir, we have a problem. What kind of problem? Minwoo just called another emergency session, right now, 3 a.m. He's forcing a vote of no confidence, claiming he has evidence of security breaches and criminal negligence. The board is gathering. Jae-hyun's jaw tightened. He looked at Naomi. Last chance to leave. She smiled, sharp, bitter. I'm not going anywhere. Then let's go to war. They walked out of the office together, toward the boardroom, toward whatever Minwoo had planned, toward the point where neither of them could turn back. The boardroom at 3 a.m. looked different than it had 12 hours earlier, harsher. The overhead lights turned everything sharp-edged and unforgiving. 26 people sat around that long, dark table, and every single one of them looked at Jae-hyun like he was already dead. Minwoo stood at the head of the table, calm, controlled, a man who'd spent months arranging pieces and now watched them fall exactly where he wanted. Thank you all for coming on such short notice, Minwoo said. His voice carried easy authority. I know the hour is unusual, but the situation demands immediate action. Jae-hyun pulled out a chair, sat. Naomi took the seat beside him. She could feel the weight of every stare in the room, calculating, hostile, measuring her like an insect under glass. Park Sung-min stood behind them, hand resting casually near his jacket, near whatever weapon he carried. Naomi had noticed that detail in the elevator, the way Sung-min positioned himself, the way his eyes never stopped moving, cataloging threats, exit points, angles. I'm calling an immediate vote of no confidence, Minwoo announced, based on evidence of catastrophic security breaches and criminal negligence that threatens this entire organization. What evidence? Jae-hyun's voice stayed flat. Minwoo smiled, pressed something on his tablet. The wall screens activated. Security footage appeared. Naomi recognized it immediately. The server room. 30 minutes ago, her downloading files, copying data, working frantically while Minwoo's setup played out exactly as he'd planned. But the footage had been edited, timestamps altered, cut to make it look like she'd been there for hours, like she'd accessed systems far beyond what Jae-hyun authorized, like industrial espionage instead of evidence gathering. This woman, Minwoo gestured at Naomi without looking at her, was given unrestricted access to our most sensitive operations. She downloaded terabytes of classified information, financial records, blackmail archives, political connections, everything that keeps this organization functional. I authorize that access, Jae-Hun said. Exactly. Minwoo's smile widened. You gave a complete stranger, an American with documented professional instability and ties to international cybersecurity firms, complete control over our infrastructure, without vetting, without background checks, without consulting this board. The room erupted. Not shouting. Worse. Quiet fury. People leaning toward each other, whispering, the sound of consensus forming. An older man near the middle stood. "Mr. Kang, is this true? Did you grant this woman administrative access?" "Yes." "Without board approval?" "The situation required immediate action." "The situation required competence," Minwoo interrupted. "Not desperation, not recklessness." He pressed his tablet again. New footage appeared. Naomi and Myeongdong. The market. But again, edited. Cut to make it look like she'd approached J-Hun first, like she'd orchestrated the meeting. "This woman targeted my cousin deliberately," Minwoo continued. "Researched his vulnerabilities, positioned herself perfectly, then exploited his desperation to infiltrate our operations." "That's a lie," Naomi said. Her voice came out stronger than she felt. Minwoo looked at her for the first time. "Is it? Tell me, Miss Adebayo, how exactly did you end up in Seoul after your career in New York ended so spectacularly?" "I left because someone stole my work and destroyed my reputation." "Someone? How convenient that you can't name them." "Daniel Chen, Senior Analyst at Cybertech Solutions." "Daniel Chen?" Minwoo nodded thoughtfully. "The same Daniel Chen who sold encryption technology to Kang Holdings 6 years ago. The same technology that locked my father's accounts. The same technology you magically knew how to crack." He paused. "Tell me, did Mr. Chen send you here? Is Cybertech using you to extort us?" "No." "Then why are you here?" "Because your cousin offered me a job. A job you accepted immediately, without negotiation, without questions. Almost like you'd been waiting for the opportunity." Minwoo turned to address the room. "I've spent the past month investigating Miss Adebayo's background, her finances, her movements, and I've found something very interesting." He pressed his tablet again. Bank records appeared on screen. Naomi's accounts, except the numbers were wrong, showing deposits she'd never received, transfers from accounts she'd never heard of, payments that looked exactly like compensation for corporate espionage. "These deposits came from shell companies connected to Chinese intelligence services," Minwoo said. "Over the past 6 months, Miss Adebayo received nearly $200,000 from foreign sources, all carefully hidden, all completely illegal." Naomi's blood went cold. "Those aren't my accounts. They have your name, your identification numbers, your access codes. Because you fabricated them." "Did I? Or did you simply get caught?" Minwoo's expression turned sympathetic, almost kind. "Miss Adebayo, I understand you're in a difficult position, but lying won't help you now." "I'm not lying." "Then explain the deposits." "I can't explain something that doesn't exist." "The evidence suggests otherwise." J-Hun stood, slow, deliberate. The temperature in the room dropped 5 degrees. "Enough," he said quietly. "Excuse me." Minwoo turned toward him. "You've made your accusations, presented your fabricated evidence, staged your little performance. Now I'll present mine." J-Hun pulled out his phone. "Miss Adebayo discovered something interesting while accessing our servers tonight. Communication logs between you and Daniel Chen, dating back 6 years, detailing exactly how you orchestrated this entire situation." Minwoo's expression didn't flicker. "I have no idea what you're talking about." "No? Then let me refresh your memory." J-Hun tapped his phone. New files appeared on the wall screens, emails, transaction records, communication logs, except they were gone. The screen showed empty directories, deleted files, nothing. Jae-Hyun's face went white. He tapped frantically, tried different access points, different paths. Everything was gone. "Looking for something?" Minwoo asked pleasantly. Naomi's stomach dropped. She pulled out her own phone, tried accessing the encrypted drive where she'd stored the evidence, the backup files, the proof. Access denied. Files corrupted. Everything erased. "How?" she whispered. "Simple," Minwoo said. "I gave you access to our servers, which means I controlled exactly what you could see, what you could download, What you thought was evidence. He smiled. Did you really believe I'd leave proof of my actions sitting on our network, waiting for someone to find it? You showed me those emails deliberately, Naomi said slowly, realization spreading like poison. You let me think I'd discovered something, let me download files, then erased everything after I left. Not just erased, replaced, with evidence of your own criminal activity. Minwoo gestured at the screens. Every file you accessed tonight, tracked, every download, logged, every action, documented as corporate espionage. J-Hun looked at Sung-min. The backup servers, the offline archives. Already checked, Sung-min said quietly. Everything's gone. That's impossible. It's thorough, Minwoo corrected. I've spent 6 months preparing this. Did you think I'd leave evidence lying around for you to stumble across? The room erupted again, this time louder. Actual shouting, demands for explanation, accusations flying. An older woman near Minwoo stood. One of the original board members, someone who'd served under Jae-hyun's father for decades. Mr. Kang, do you have any evidence supporting your claims against your cousin? Jae-hyun said nothing, just stared at the empty screens. Any documentation? Any proof? It was deleted. How convenient. He deleted it, or it never existed. The woman looked around the room. I've known Minwoo since he was a child, watched him build the Western operations from nothing. He served this family with loyalty and competence for years. While you, she looked at Jae-hyun, have been in charge for 3 weeks and already lost control of our encryption, hired a suspected foreign agent, and granted unauthorized access to sensitive systems. I'm calling the vote, Minwoo said. All in favor of removing Kang Jae-hyun from leadership and installing new management? Hands rose, quickly, decisively. Naomi counted. 18, 20, 22. More than 2/3. Motion passes, Minwoo announced. Effective immediately, I'm assuming control of Kang Holdings and all associated operations. Mr. Kang, you're relieved of duty. Miss Adebayo, you're terminated and banned from these premises. Security will escort you both out. No, Jae-hyun said. Excuse me? I said no. Jae-hyun's voice turned hard, dangerous. My father built this empire, chose me as his successor. You don't get to take that based on fabricated evidence and board manipulation. The board has spoken. The board was lied to. Prove it. Silence. Crushing. Absolute. Jae-hyun had nothing. No evidence, no proof, just accusations that sounded exactly like desperation. Minwoo's smile turned genuinely warm, almost affectionate. You're a smart man, cousin. Educated, sophisticated, but you never understood how power actually works. It's not about being right. It's about controlling what people believe is right. He gestured toward the door. Now leave, before I have you removed forcibly. Park Sung-min shifted slightly, ready to fight. But Naomi saw his face, saw him calculating odds. 26 board members, security teams loyal to Minwoo waiting outside. No winning scenario. Jae-hyun turned to leave. Stopped. Looked back at Minwoo. This isn't over. Yes, Minwoo said gently. It is. They walked out, down the hallway, past offices that had been Jae-hyun's domain 12 hours ago and now belonged to someone else. Into the elevator, down to the ground floor. Nobody spoke. Outside, Seoul's pre-dawn darkness felt suffocating. Naomi stood on the sidewalk, watching her breath cloud in the cold. Everything she'd fought for in the past 24 hours. Gone. Erased. Weaponized against her. I'm sorry, Jae-hyun said quietly. She looked at him. For what? For dragging you into this. For making you believe we could win. For... His voice cracked. For everything. You didn't drag me. I chose to stay. That choice destroyed you. I was already destroyed. Your cousin made sure of that 6 years ago. Naomi laughed, bitter, broken. At least now I know who's been pulling the strings. Sung-min's phone buzzed. He answered, listened. His face went gray. What? Jae-hyun demanded. Minwoo just issued an arrest warrant. Claims Miss Adebayo stole classified information. Seoul prosecutors are involved. They're looking for her now. Naomi felt the ground tilt. He can't do that. He can if he controls the evidence. If every file on those servers shows you committing crimes. Sungmin looked at J-Hun. We need to move. Now. Before police arrive. Where? Anywhere. Nowhere. Just away from here. They started walking. Fast. Not running. Running drew attention, but moving with purpose. Sungmin led them through side streets, away from security cameras, away from main roads. This is insane, Naomi said. I didn't do anything wrong. Doesn't matter, Sungmin replied. Minwoo controls the narrative now, controls the evidence. You're guilty because he says you're guilty. Then we need new evidence, something he can't control. Like what? Daniel Chen. Naomi's mind raced. Minwoo worked with him, paid him. There has to be physical evidence, bank records, communications, something that exists outside the Kang Holdings servers. Chen is in New York, J-Hun said. Then we go to New York. With what money? What resources? I just lost everything. You didn't lose everything. Naomi stopped walking, turned. You lost control of the company, but you're still the old boss's son, still connected, still dangerous. She looked at Sungmin. He has loyal people, doesn't he? People who served his father? People who won't follow Minwoo blindly? Sungmin hesitated. Some, maybe a dozen, but they won't move without proof. Then we get them proof. Naomi pulled out her phone, started typing. I still have contacts in New York, people who worked with me at Cybertech. People who hated Daniel as much as I did. If Minwoo paid Daniel 6 years ago, that money went somewhere. Bank accounts, tax records, shell companies, something traceable. That's not enough, J-Hun said. Even if we prove Minwoo worked with Daniel, it doesn't prove he fabricated evidence against you, doesn't prove he orchestrated my father's encryption lockout, doesn't prove anything except that they knew each other. Then we need more. Naomi kept typing, sending messages, burning through contacts she'd avoided for years. We need someone who knows what Minwoo did, someone who saw it happen, someone who can testify. Sungmin's phone buzzed again. He checked it, swore quietly. Police just issued a public statement. You're wanted for corporate espionage and theft of classified information. They're offering a reward. How much? Naomi asked. 5 million won. That's like $4,000. Cheap for my life. Cheap enough that every desperate person in Seoul will be looking for you. Sungmin grabbed her arm, gentle but firm. We need to get you out of the country, tonight, before this gets worse. It can't get worse. Yes, it can. Minwoo has resources you can't imagine. Money, connections. The entire Kang syndicate behind him now. If he wants you dead, you'll be dead within 48 hours. Naomi pulled her arm free. Then I have 48 hours to find proof. That's suicide. That's survival, because running doesn't fix this. Running means Minwoo wins, means Daniel wins, means everyone who destroyed me gets to keep destroying me forever. Her voice rose. I'm done running. I'm done losing. Either we fight back or I might as well turn myself in right now. J-Hun stared at her, something shifting in his expression. You're serious? Completely. You understand what you're asking for? We're not talking about corporate warfare anymore. We're talking about actual violence, actual danger. People will get hurt, probably including you. I spent 6 years being hurt. At least this time I'll see it coming. Silence stretched between them. J-Hun looked at Sungmin, some kind of unspoken communication. Finally, Sungmin nodded. There's someone who might help. Who? Naomi asked. Minwoo's wife. J-Hun's head snapped toward him. Sarah? She knows things about her husband's operations, about his plans. She's been trapped in that marriage for 8 years. I've seen the bruises, the fear. If anyone has evidence of what Minwoo has done, it's her. She'll never talk, J-Hun said. He terrifies her. Maybe. Or maybe she's been waiting for someone to offer her a way out. Sungmin checked his watch. Their apartment is in Gangnam, 20 minutes from here. If we move fast, we can reach her before Minwoo gets home from the office. And if she refuses to help, then we're exactly where we are now, with nothing. Naomi started walking. Then let's go. The apartment building looked expensive even from outside. Glass and steel, doorman, security cameras everywhere. Sungmin knew a service entrance. knew which cameras were broken, knew how to move through the building like he'd mapped it before. They took stairs to the 14th floor, stood outside apartment 1407. Naomi's heart hammered against her ribs. She could hear it in her ears, feel it in her throat. Sungmin knocked, quiet, specific pattern. The door opened slightly. A woman peered through the gap. Small, delicate features, eyes too wide. Frightened animal looking for predators. "Mr. Park?" Her voice barely whispered. "We need to talk, Sarah. It's important." "Minwoo isn't here." "I know, that's why we came." She looked past him, saw J-Hun, saw Naomi. Her eyes widened further. "You shouldn't be here. If he finds out, Your husband just staged a coup," J-Hun said bluntly. "Took control of my father's empire. Framed an innocent woman for espionage. And he's not going to stop there. You know that, don't you?" Sarah's hand trembled on the door. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." J-Hun moved closer, voice softening. "Sarah, I've known you since you married into this family. I've seen what he does to you, the bruises, the fear, the way you disappear for weeks after he gets angry. I've seen it and done nothing because I was a coward. But I'm asking you now, please, help us stop him." Tears welled in her eyes. "I can't." "You can. You don't understand. He'll kill me. He's threatened it before. Said if I ever betrayed him, he'd make it look like an accident, make it hurt, make it last." Her voice broke. "I'm trapped." "Then let us help you get out," Naomi said. Stepped forward. "I know what it's like to have someone destroy you, to feel powerless, to watch them win over and over while you can't do anything except survive. Your husband did that to me, spent years orchestrating my destruction, and now he's trying to finish the job. But if we work together, if you help us prove what he's done, we can stop him. Both of us can be free." Sarah stared at her, something flickering behind the fear, something that might have been hope once. "What do you need?" she whispered. "Evidence. Communications between Minwoo and Daniel Chen, bank records, transaction receipts, anything proving they work together. Minwoo keeps everything encrypted, password protected. I don't have access. But you know where he keeps things. You know his habits, his patterns." Sarah bit her lip, thinking, calculating risk. Finally, she opened the door wider. "He has a safe. In his office. I've watched him open it, memorized the combination, but I've never looked inside." "Show us," J-Hun said. She led them through the apartment. Expensive furniture, art on the walls. Everything perfect, everything cold. The home of someone who valued appearance over warmth. Minwoo's office sat at the end of a hallway. Dark wood. Leather chairs. A desk that looked like it cost more than most cars. Sarah went to the bookshelf, pulled 3 specific books. A panel slid open, revealed a digital safe. Her hands shook as she entered the combination. The safe clicked open. Inside, USB drives, document folders, a handgun, and a leather journal. Naomi grabbed the USB drives, handed them to Sungmin. "Can you access these?" He pulled out a laptop, plugged in the first drive, started typing. His expression darkened as files opened. "What is it?" J-Hun asked. "Transaction records, payments to Daniel Chen, 6 years of communication, including messages from 3 weeks ago, the day your father died." Sungmin kept reading. His face went gray. "Oh, God." "What?" "Your father didn't die of natural causes." Sungmin looked up. "Minwoo poisoned him, paid a nurse to administer something that mimicked stroke symptoms, made it look like natural death." The room went silent. J-Hun swayed, like someone had punched him. "He murdered my father." "Yes." "To take control." "Yes." J-Hun's breathing turned ragged. Naomi watched him struggling, watched years of complicated grief transform into something simpler. Rage. "Copy everything," he said, voice dead, flat. "Every file, every document, every piece of evidence." Sungmin worked quickly, downloading, backing up, encrypting. Naomi opened the leather journal, started reading. Her stomach turned. It was a diary. Minwoo's personal documentation of his plan. Every step, every manipulation, every betrayal, written in meticulous detail like he was keeping score, including entries about Naomi, about tracking her, paying Daniel, arranging her professional destruction. Everything spelled out in his handwriting. "This is it," she said. "This is everything we need." Behind them, the apartment door opened, footsteps in the hallway. Min Woo's voice. "Sarah? Why is the door unlocked?" Sarah's face went white with terror. She grabbed Naomi's arm, squeezed, silent scream. Sung-min snapped his laptop closed, shoved the USB drives in his pocket, looked at J-Hun, mouthed, "Window." But they were 14 floors up. Min-woo appeared in the office doorway, stopped, stared at them. For 3 seconds, nobody moved. Then Min-woo smiled. "Well, this is unexpected." His hand moved inside his jacket, pulled out a phone, started dialing. J-Hun lunged, grabbed the phone, threw it across the room. It shattered against the wall. Min-woo's expression didn't change. "You're making this worse. You killed my father. I gave him peace. He was weak, dying slowly. I accelerated the inevitable. You murdered him. I freed the organization from incompetent leadership, just like I'm freeing it from you." Min-woo looked at Sarah, his wife. "And you, betraying me. How disappointing." Sarah shrank back, trembling. "Leave her alone," Naomi said. "Or what?" Min-woo laughed. "You'll call the police? They're already looking for you. You'll testify? No one will believe you. You'll fight me? You already lost." Sung-min moved between them, hand inside his jacket now, where the weapon lived. Min-woo noticed. "Please don't do something stupid, Mr. Park. You've always been the smart one. Don't throw that away protecting people who are already dead." "We have evidence," J-Hun said. "Everything. Your communications, your transactions, your confession about murdering my father. You have nothing, because I'm about to take those drives, delete everything, and then call security. You broke into my home, assaulted my wife, threatened me. By tomorrow, you'll be in prison or dead. Either works." "We already copied the files," Sung-min said quietly. "Encrypted backup. Multiple locations. You can't delete what you can't access." Min-woo's smile faltered, just slightly. "You're lying." "Am I?" Sung-min pulled out his phone, showed the screen. Upload complete. Files secured. For the first time, Min-woo looked uncertain. Then his expression hardened. "It doesn't matter. I control the prosecutors, the judges, the police. Even with evidence, you can't win. The system belongs to me now." "Maybe," J-Hun said, "but we don't need the system. We just need the truth to reach the right people. The families you've been manipulating, the board members you've been lying to. Once they see what you really are, what you did to seize power, you're finished. You'll never reach them. Watch us." Min-woo's hand moved, fast, grabbed Sarah, pulled her against him. His other hand produced a knife, pressed it against her throat. "Nobody moves," he said calmly. "Give me those drives. Give me the laptop. Give me everything, or I'll kill her right here and claim she was part of your break-in." Sarah whimpered, tears streaming down her face. Naomi felt everything slow down, saw the calculation in Min-woo's eyes, saw him weighing options, deciding who needed to die first. "Let her go," J-Hun said. "This is between us. She's just collateral. She stopped being collateral when she opened my safe." The knife pressed harder. A thin line of blood appeared on Sarah's throat. Last chance. The drives. Now. Sung-min reached for his pocket. Slowly. Carefully. Then the apartment door burst open. Police flooded in. 6 officers, armed, shouting commands. Min-woo spun, confused. The knife dropped slightly. Sarah twisted, slammed her elbow into his ribs, broke free, ran toward Naomi. Min-woo lunged after her. An officer fired. Not to kill. To stop. The bullet hit Min-woo's shoulder. He went down screaming. More police entered, secured the scene, cuffed Min-woo while he writhed on the floor. A woman in plain clothes entered last. Detective's badge. She looked at J-Hun. "Mr. Kang, we've been investigating your cousin for 18 months. Financial crimes, racketeering, suspected involvement in your father's death. When your associate," she nodded at Sung-min, Contacted us 30 minutes ago with evidence. We moved immediately. Sung-min had called them while they were in the elevator, before they even reached the apartment. He'd been planning this the entire time. J-Hun stared at him. I served your father, Sung-min said quietly, and I knew something was wrong with his death. I've been gathering evidence for months, just needed the final pieces. He held up the USB drives. Now we have them. The detective took the drives. We'll need statements from all of you, but based on preliminary review of the files Mr. Park uploaded, Kang Min-woo is going to prison for a very long time. Min-woo was screaming now about conspiracies, about frame jobs, about how they couldn't do this. Nobody listened. They took him out on a stretcher, still cuffed, still screaming, still convinced he could talk his way out of consequences. Sarah collapsed onto the couch, sobbing, not from fear, from relief. 8 years of terror finally ending. Naomi sat beside her, put an arm around her shoulders, said nothing. Sometimes silence was enough. J-Hun stood at the window, staring out at Seoul's skyline, watching dawn break over the city. It's over, Sung-min said. No, J-Hun replied, voice empty. It's just beginning. Min-woo's arrest leaves a power vacuum. The board will fracture. The other families will move. Everything my father built is about to collapse into civil war. Then we rebuild, Naomi said. Stood, walked to him. We take what's left and make something better. You don't owe me anything. You should leave. Go back to America. Start over somewhere he can't reach you. And let Daniel Chen win? Let everyone who destroyed me walk away? She shook her head. I'm done running. You said that earlier. So did I. We meant it. J-Hun looked at her, really looked, like he was seeing her for the first time. This won't be easy, he warned. Nothing worth doing is. We'll have enemies. My cousin has supporters, people who won't accept his arrest. Who'll blame me, blame you. Let them blame us. We'll prove them wrong. Outside, sirens wailed, police securing the scene, prosecutors probably already drafting charges. The machinery of justice grinding forward, and somewhere in New York, Daniel Chen had no idea his entire world was about to burn. Naomi smiled, sharp, cold, ready. So, she said, what's next? J-Hun almost smiled back. Revenge, reconstruction, and making sure everyone who underestimated us regrets it. Sounds perfect. They stood together, watching the sunrise, watching Seoul wake up, watching their second chance begin. But neither of them saw the figure across the street, watching the building, taking photographs, making calls. Min-woo wasn't the only one who'd been planning, and the game was far from over. The figure across the street lowered his camera, pulled out a phone, made a call that lasted exactly 47 seconds, then disappeared into the morning crowd like he'd never existed. Inside the apartment, the detective was still taking statements when Park Sung-min's phone buzzed. He checked it. His expression shifted from relief to something darker. We need to leave, he said quietly to J-Hun. Now. What's wrong? Min-woo made bail. J-Hun's head snapped toward the detective. How is that possible? You arrested him for murder. The detective looked uncomfortable. His lawyers filed emergency motions, argued medical necessity due to his gunshot wound. Judge granted bail pending further investigation. He posted bond 20 minutes ago. He posted bond. J-Hun's voice turned flat, dead. For murdering my father. The evidence needs to be processed, verified. Until then, he walks free. J-Hun looked at Sung-min. How much time do we have? If he's smart, he'll disappear, leave the country before prosecutors finish building their case. He's not going to disappear, Naomi said. Everyone turned to look at her. He spent 6 years planning this, orchestrating every detail. He's not going to run now. He's going to finish what he started. She's right, Sung-min agreed. Min-woo doesn't lose. Even when he's losing, he finds ways to win, which means he's already planning his next move. J-Hun pulled out his phone, started making calls. First one went to voicemail, second one. Third one finally connected. It's me, he said. I need you to pull every loyal operative we have left, everyone who served my father. Everyone who hasn't sided with Minwoo. Bring them to the safe house in Itaewon. Pause. Listening. I don't care if they're sleeping. Wake them up. We have maybe 3 hours before this gets worse. He hung up, looked at Naomi and Sarah. You two need to leave Seoul. Tonight. I can get you on a flight to… No, Naomi interrupted. This isn't negotiable. You're right, it's not. She stepped closer. Your cousin destroyed my career, manipulated my entire life, and tried to frame me for espionage. You think I'm leaving before watching him burn? You'll be safer. I don't want to be safer. I want to be there when he loses everything. Her voice turned hard, sharp. You said we'd fight back together. You said revenge and reconstruction. Were you lying? J-Hun stared at her, something shifting in his expression. You don't understand what's coming. Minwoo won't just attack me. He'll attack anyone connected to me, anyone he thinks I care about. That includes you. Good. Let him try. Naomi, stop protecting me like I'm fragile. I cracked your father's encryption. I survived Daniel Chen's betrayal. I walked into your syndicate knowing exactly how dangerous it was. I'm not some civilian who needs saving. I'm the person who helped you survive this long. So either trust me to keep surviving or admit you never saw me as an equal in the first place. Silence filled the apartment. The detective pretended not to listen. Sarah watched them with wide eyes. Finally, J-Hun nodded once. Okay, but you follow my lead. You don't take risks I don't approve. And if things go wrong, you get out. No heroics. Same goes for you. Almost a smile. Deal, Chow. The safe house in Itaewon looked like a forgotten restaurant. Shuttered windows, faded sign. The kind of place people walk past without noticing. Inside it was something different. Reinforced walls, multiple exits, a basement that probably held weapons and emergency supplies. 11 people waited when they arrived. Mix of ages, mix of backgrounds. But all of them carried themselves the same way. Controlled, dangerous, loyal to something beyond money. The oldest one, a woman maybe 60 with gray hair pulled severe and a scar running down her left cheek, stepped forward when J-Hun entered. Young master, she said, used the old formal address, the one reserved for heirs before they inherited. We heard what happened, what Minwoo did, what you need from us. Honesty first, J-Hun replied. Half the board sided with my cousin. Some of you might agree with them, might think he's right, that I'm too weak or inexperienced or compromised to lead. If that's true, leave now. No judgment, no consequences. Just walk away. Nobody moved. I'm serious. This is your chance. The scarred woman, J-Hun had called her Kwan on the drive over, shook her head. Your father was a hard man, brutal when necessary, but fair. He kept his word, took care of those who served him. Your cousin is different. He enjoys cruelty, hurts people because he can. We've all seen it. Watched him terrorize his wife, torture suspects, destroy lives for sport. She looked around at the others. They nodded. We don't follow you because you're strong. We follow you because you're not him. Jaehyun's throat worked, like swallowing glass. My cousin made bail. He's free. And he's going to come after me with everything he has. Everyone in this room becomes a target by staying. Then we're targets, Kwan said simply. What's the plan? J-Hun pulled out a tablet, brought up files. Minwoo's arrest creates a power vacuum. The families will fracture. Some will stay neutral. Some will back him, despite the evidence. We need to move faster than they do. Secure allies, expose his remaining supporters, and most importantly, we need to find Daniel Chen before Minwoo does. Why? Someone asked. Because Chen is the only person who can verify Minwoo's communications, the only witness who can confirm the conspiracy existed before my father's death. Without him, defense lawyers will claim the evidence was fabricated, that we planted it to frame an innocent man. Naomi stepped forward. Chen is in New York, senior analyst at Cybertech Solutions. I have his address, his routines, his security protocols. That's halfway across the world, Sungmin said. Even if we move now, Minwoo's people could reach him first. Not if we make Chen come to us. Naomi pulled out her phone, pulled up an email draft. I'm going to send him proof that Minwoo is arrested, that all their communications are in police custody, that prosecutors are building a conspiracy case, And I'm going to offer him a deal. Testify against Min-woo. Get immunity. Stay silent. Go to prison for murder. He won't take the deal, J-Hun said. Men like Chen don't cooperate. They lawyer up and fight. Men like Chen are cowards. When I worked with him, he always took the path of least resistance. Always protected himself first. He stole my work because it was easier than doing his own. He'll cooperate if he thinks it saves his skin. And if you're wrong, then we improvise. Naomi hit send. The email launched into digital space, racing toward New York, toward Daniel Chen's inbox, toward whatever came next. J-Hun looked at Kwon. I need intelligence, Min-woo's movements, his supporters, any operations he's planning. Can you get that? We still have people inside his organization. Lower level, but loyal to your father's memory. They'll feed us information. Do it. And find out where he went after posting bail. I want to know every move he makes. Kwon nodded, started making calls. The room filled with low voices, urgent conversations, plans forming. Naomi sat in the corner, staring at her phone, waiting for Chen's response. Her hands were shaking again, not from fear, from anticipation. 6 years of rage finally channeling towards something concrete. J-Hun sat beside her, didn't say anything, just sat. After a while, thank you. She looked at him. For what? For staying, for fighting. Most people would have run. Most people didn't have their lives systematically destroyed by your cousin. Still, you didn't have to help me. You could have taken the evidence and disappeared, used it for your own revenge. Instead, you stayed. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe you're loyal. She almost laughed. Loyal to what? I've known you 3 days. Loyal to the truth, to justice, to the idea that people like Min-woo shouldn't win. He paused. Or maybe you just hate losing as much as I do. That's more accurate. Her phone buzzed. Email notification from Daniel Chen. Her breath stopped. The email was short. You're lying. Min-woo would never get arrested. Nice try. Naomi typed back. Check the news. Seoul prosecutors arrested him this morning. Your name is all over the evidence. Conspiracy, murder, financial crimes. Either cooperate or burn with him. She attached news articles, police reports, everything public. Hit send. Waited. 3 minutes later, her phone rang. Unknown international number. She answered. Hello, Daniel. What the hell did you do? His voice cracked, panicked. I didn't know anything about murder. Min-woo said it was just business, just consulting fees. I didn't... You paid him to steal my work. You destroyed my career. You made millions while I lost everything. That was business. That was conspiracy to commit fraud, theft of intellectual property, and now you're an accessory to murder. Congratulations. Silence. She could hear him breathing, fast, shallow, falling apart. What do you want? He finally asked. I want you on a plane to Seoul, tonight. I want you to testify against Min-woo. Confirm every communication, every transaction, every detail of your relationship. And in exchange, I'll convince prosecutors to offer immunity. You're insane. I'm not flying to Korea to... Then you'll get extradited and prosecuted, and you'll spend the next 20 years in a Korean prison for conspiracy to murder a mafia boss. Your choice. I need to talk to my lawyer. You have 6 hours. After that, the offer expires and you're on your own. She hung up. J-Hun stared at her. You think he'll come? He'll come. He's too scared not to. Kwon approached, face grim. We have a problem. What kind of problem? Min-woo didn't disappear. He went straight to the Western District, called an emergency meeting with his old crew. He's rallying support. How many? At least 40, maybe more. And he's telling them you framed him, that you fabricated evidence, that you're trying to steal the empire. Jae-hyun's jaw tightened. How many people do we have? Here? 11. Scattered across the city? Maybe 30 more who'd answer your call. But Min-woo has numbers, and he has momentum. People believe him because he's been building relationships for years. You've been in charge 3 weeks. So we're outnumbered 3-1, at least. Then we don't fight on his terms. Jae-hyun stood, started pacing, thinking. He's expecting violence, expecting us to strike back with force. Instead, we go public. We leak everything to the media, every communication, every crime, every detail of his conspiracy. We destroy his credibility before he can consolidate power. That exposes the entire organization, Sung-min warned. Not just Min-woo, everyone, including your father's crimes. My father's dead. He doesn't need protection anymore. The organization does. And the only way to save it is to cut out the infection before it spreads. The other families won't forgive this. Going public breaks every rule, every tradition. Then we build new traditions. J-Hun turned to Kwon. Contact every journalist you trust, every prosecutor who isn't bought, every politician who owes us favors. Tell them we're dropping the biggest organized crime story in Korean history. And tell them we're doing it in 4 hours. Kwon's eyes widened. Young master. Not there. 4 hours. That's how long until Daniel Chen decides whether to cooperate. If he agrees, we have our witness. If not, we burn everything anyway. Either way, Min-woo loses. He'll retaliate, violently. Let him try. Naomi stood. If we're going public, I want to be there. I want to tell my story, what he did to me, how he orchestrated everything. That makes you a target. I've been a target since the moment I cracked that encryption. At least this way I control the narrative. J-Hun looked at her. Really looked. Seeing someone different than the desperate woman from the food tent. Someone harder, sharper, forged by pressure into something dangerous. Okay, he said. We do this together. 3 hours later, Naomi sat in a small television studio in Mapo. Makeup covering the exhaustion, lights too bright, cameras pointed at her like weapons. Across from her sat a journalist named Park Ji-won, respected, connected, someone who'd built a career exposing corruption, someone who could make this matter. We're recording, Ji-won said. Ready? Naomi nodded. Her throat felt tight. She'd practiced this, rehearsed the words. But now, facing the camera, everything felt too real. Tell me what happened, Ji-won prompted gently. Naomi took a breath. 6 years ago, I designed a quantum encryption system for an American cybersecurity firm called Cybertech Solutions. My supervisor, Daniel Chen, stole my work, sold it to a Korean buyer for $8 million. When I tried reporting the theft, he destroyed my professional reputation, made me unemployable, drove me out of New York. What happened next? I came to Seoul, desperate, isolated, no prospects. And then I was approached by Kang Jae-hyun, the heir to Kang Holdings. He offered me a job cracking an encryption system. I didn't know it was my own design, didn't know the buyer who'd purchased my stolen work was his father. That seems like quite a coincidence. It wasn't. It was orchestrated by Jae-hyun's cousin, Kang Min-woo. He paid Daniel Chen to steal my work. He arranged my professional destruction. He tracked me to Seoul. He made sure Jae-hyun and I crossed paths at exactly the right moment, because he was planning a coup, planning to seize control of the Kang organization, and he needed me as a weapon to destabilize his cousin's leadership. Ji-won leaned forward. These are serious accusations. Can you prove them? Yes. Naomi pulled out a tablet, showed the screen. These are communication logs between Kang Min-woo and Daniel Chen. 6 years of messages, transaction records, evidence of conspiracy, including plans to murder Jae-hyun's father to accelerate the succession timeline. The journalist's eyes widened. You're claiming Kang Min-woo committed murder? I'm not claiming. I'm stating fact. Kang Min-woo murdered his uncle, framed me for espionage, attempted a corporate coup. And when he was arrested this morning, he posted bail and immediately began rallying criminal support for retaliation. All of this is documented. All of this is provable. Why come forward now? Because I'm done running. Because men like Min-woo and Daniel Chen have spent years destroying people and facing no consequences. And because if I don't tell this story, they'll bury it. They'll bury me. And they'll keep destroying lives until someone stops them. The interview continued for 90 minutes. Every detail, every crime, every moment of manipulation. Naomi held nothing back. When it finished, Ji-won turned off the camera, looked at her seriously. This goes live in 1 hour. Once it does, there's no taking it back. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Kang Min-woo will retaliate, probably violently. You understand that? I'm counting on it. Ji-won almost smiled. You're either very brave or very foolish. Maybe both. Nah. The interview dropped at 6 p.m. Every major news network picked it up within minutes. Social media exploded. Seoul prosecutors issued statements. International outlets started calling. By 7 p.m., Kang Holdings stock had crashed 20%. The board was in emergency session. Police were investigating. By 8 p.m., Daniel Chen's lawyer called Naomi's phone. Chen would cooperate. Full testimony, immunity deal. He'd be in Seoul in 36 hours. By 9 p.m., 3 of Minwoo's top supporters had quietly contacted J-Hun, offering to switch sides, willing to testify, desperate to distance themselves from the scandal. Naomi watched it unfold from the safe house, news coverage playing on every screen, her face everywhere, her story spreading. "You did it," J-Hun said quietly, stood beside her. "You destroyed him. We're not finished yet." "No, but we're winning." Kwon burst into the room, face urgent. "Minwoo's moving. He just left the Western District with 20 armed men, heading toward Gangnam." "Where in Gangnam?" "Here, the safe house. Someone told him where we are." The room went silent, everyone processing, calculating. "How long?" Jae-Hyun asked. 20 minutes, maybe less." "Can we evacuate?" "Not fast enough. He's got people covering the exits. We're trapped." Sung-min pulled out his weapon, checked it. "How many people do we have here?" 14 counting us. Against 20 trained fighters, with Minwoo leading them. He's coming to end this permanently. Jae-Hyun looked at Naomi. "I need you to hide. There's a panic room in the basement, reinforced door, separate ventilation. You stay there until this is over." "No." "Naomi, is she—" "I said no." She moved to the weapons table, picked up something small, a taser maybe. "I'm not hiding while you fight my battle." "This isn't your battle. This is exactly my battle. He used me, destroyed me, made me complicit in his crimes. I don't get to walk away just because things got dangerous." Her hand steadied as she held the weapon. "I stay. I fight. End of discussion." Jae-Hyun looked like he wanted to argue, looked at her face, saw something that made him stop. "Okay," he said quietly. "But you stay near me. You don't take unnecessary risks, and if I tell you to run, you run. Agreed?" "Agreed." Kwon started directing people. Defensive positions, sight lines, barricades. The safe house transformed into a fortress in minutes. Naomi found herself crouched behind an overturned table near the main entrance. Jae-Hyun beside her, Sung-min on the other side, waiting. Her heart hammered. She could taste metal, fear or adrenaline or both. "I need to tell you something," Jae-Hyun said, voice low, urgent. "Now's not really the time." "It's exactly the time. Because if this goes wrong, if Minwoo wins, I need you to know." He looked at her. "I manipulated you, used you, brought you into this hell because I was desperate. But somewhere between the encryption in the boardroom and watching you refuse to break, I stopped seeing you as a tool. Started seeing you as—" He stopped, searching for words. "As someone I don't want to lose." Naomi stared at him. "Are you seriously confessing feelings right before a gunfight?" "Apparently." "You're an idiot." "Probably." "I should have run when I had the chance." "Definitely." She almost laughed, bitter, broken. "For the record, I started trusting you somewhere around the moment you admitted you were a liar. Most manipulators don't confess. The fact that you did, that you kept being honest even when it hurt, that meant something." "Meant what?" "Meant you're less of a bastard than I thought." "That's almost romantic." "Shut up." Outside, car engines, multiple vehicles, doors slamming, footsteps. The attack was starting. Kwon's voice from upstairs. 23 hostiles, armed. Minwoo in the center, they're surrounding the building. Jae-Hyun keyed his radio. "Nobody fires first. Let them make the move. We defend. We don't escalate." Copy. Silence. Suffocating. Naomi could hear her own breathing, could feel sweat running down her spine, could smell gun oil and fear. The front door exploded inward. Not kicked. Blown. Actual explosive. Smoke filled the entrance. Figures moved through it. Dark shapes. Armed. Gunfire erupted. Naomi ducked. Felt bullets impact the table above her. Heard shouting, screaming, the sound of violence in confined space. Sung-min returned fire. Controlled bursts, professional. Someone outside screamed. J-Hun grabbed Naomi's arm, pulled her sideways, away from the main entrance, through a side door, into a hallway. "Stay low," he commanded. "Stay behind me." They moved through the safe house. Sound of fighting behind them. Ahead, more shapes. Minwoo's people circling, surrounding. A man appeared, gun raised, aimed at J-Hun. Naomi reacted without thinking, hit him with the taser. High voltage straight into his neck. He went down convulsing. J-Hun stared at her. "Where did you learn that?" "Self-defense class in New York, after I got mugged." "Remind me never to threaten you." They kept moving, found stairs, went up instead of down. Second floor, away from the main attack, looking for high ground, advantage. Behind them, the fighting intensified. Explosions. More gunfire. Kwan's voice on the radio. "They're pushing hard, we can't hold much longer." Jae-Hyun keyed his radio. "Fall back to secondary positions. Make them work for every inch." They reached the second floor, found a window overlooking the street. Below, vehicles. Minwoo's people coordinating. And in the center, standing calm while chaos erupted around him, Minwoo himself, watching, directing, smiling. "He's not even fighting," Naomi whispered. "He's just watching us tear each other apart." "That's how he works, uses other people's hands, keeps his own clean." "Then we need to force him to get dirty." "How?" Naomi pulled out her phone, opened the recording app, started streaming live, to social media, to every news outlet that had covered her interview, to the world. "What are you doing?" "Making him visible." She pointed the camera at the window, at Minwoo below, started narrating. "This is Kang Minwoo, arrested this morning for murder and conspiracy, released on bail, currently directing an armed assault on a civilian building in Itaewon. 23 gunmen, multiple casualties, all because we exposed his crimes." Below, someone noticed, pointed up at the window, at the camera. Minwoo looked up, saw her, saw the phone, saw the live stream. His smile disappeared. He started moving, toward the building, toward them. "Now he's coming," Naomi said. "Now it gets personal." Jae-Hyun grabbed her, pulled her away from the window. "That was incredibly stupid. That was incredibly effective." Footsteps on the stairs, heavy, fast, multiple people. They ran. Down a different hallway, into what looked like a storage room, barricaded the door, looked for exits. There weren't any. They were trapped. Outside the door, footsteps stopped. Someone tried the handle. Locked. Then pounding, shoulders slamming against wood. The door wouldn't hold long. Jae-Hyun positioned himself in front of Naomi, gun drawn, ready. "When that door breaks," he said quietly, "you run. Through them if you have to. You get out of this building and you don't stop until you're somewhere safe." "I'm not leaving you." "Yes, you are. Because one of us needs to survive this. Needs to finish what we started. Needs to make sure Minwoo pays." He looked back at her. "Promise me." "Jae-Hyun, promise me." The door splintered, starting to give way. Naomi's hand found his, squeezed. "I promise." "Thank you." The door exploded inward. Minwoo entered first, alone, unarmed, smiling. "Hello, cousin," he said pleasantly. "Hello, Naomi. Lovely live stream, very dramatic, very public, thousands of people watching, which means I can't kill you. Not without becoming the monster you're claiming I am." His smile widened. "So instead, I'm offering a deal." "What deal?" Jae-Hyun asked. "You stop this. Stop the interviews, stop the leaks, stop destroying everything our family built, and I walk away. Leave the organization, disappear. You'll never see me again. You'll just come back, plan another coup, try again. Maybe, or maybe I'll retire to some tropical island and forget Seoul exists. You'll never know unless you take the deal. And if we refuse, then this ends badly for everyone. My people breach this room. People die. Maybe you, maybe Naomi. Maybe both. The building burns, evidence is destroyed, and the whole thing becomes a tragedy instead of justice." Minwoo stepped closer. "You're smart enough to see the calculation. Take the win you have. Let me go. Or risk losing everything." Jae-Hyun's gun stayed level, pointed at Minwoo's chest. You killed my father. I freed him from suffering. You destroyed innocent lives. I built an empire. You're a monster. I'm practical. Minwoo spread his hands. Last chance, cousin. Deal or death. Choose quickly. My people are getting impatient. Behind him, armed men filled the hallway, waiting, weapons ready. Naomi could see J-Hun calculating, weighing options, measuring odds. Then his finger moved, toward the trigger, and Minwoo lunged. Minwoo's lunge was faster than it should have been for someone shot hours earlier. He grabbed Hae-hyun's wrist, twisted. The gun discharged into the ceiling. Plaster rained down as they slammed into the wall together. Naomi didn't think, just reacted. Drove the taser into Minwoo's side, high voltage into already damaged tissue. He screamed, convulsed, released J-Hun, and stumbled backward into the hallway. His men raised their weapons. Don't shoot, Minwoo gasped, still smiling through the pain, still streaming. Remember? Thousands watching. Can't make me the victim. J-Hun aimed his gun again, hand steady despite everything. Then I guess we're at an impasse. Not quite. Minwoo straightened slowly, favoring his injured shoulder. Because I'm not the only one who can make calls. He pulled out his phone with his good hand, showed the screen, a single contact selected, ready to dial. One button, that's all it takes. And Sarah dies. My wife, your witness. The woman who betrayed me. I have people watching her right now, waiting for my signal. Naomi's stomach dropped. You're bluffing. Am I? Test me. Please. I'd love to prove how serious I am about tying up loose ends. J-Hun's jaw tightened. Let her go. She has nothing to do with this anymore. She has everything to do with this. She opened my safe, gave you evidence, made this entire disaster possible. Minwoo's thumb hovered over the call button. So here's my revised offer. You let me walk out of this building. You stop the investigation. You bury the evidence. And Sarah lives. Otherwise, he shrugged with his good shoulder. Well, accidents happen. You'd kill your own wife. I'd eliminate a liability. There's a difference. The hallway went silent. Even Minwoo's men looked uncomfortable. Some moral line crossed that made them question who they were following. J-Hun slowly lowered his weapon. Okay, you win. Take your deal. Leave. Just don't hurt her. J-Hun, no, Naomi said. We can't let him. We don't have a choice. His voice was hollow, defeated. He's right. Sarah's already suffered enough because of this family. I'm not adding murder to the list. Minwoo smiled, genuine warmth this time. I knew you'd see reason. You're weak, cousin. Always have been. Too much conscience for this business. He started backing toward the stairs, his men providing cover. Don't follow me. Don't try anything clever. Just let me disappear, and maybe Sarah gets to live out her life in peace. He vanished down the stairs, footsteps fading, engines starting outside, vehicles pulling away. Naomi grabbed J-Hun's arm. We can't just let him leave. He'll regroup. Come back. Try again. I know. Then why? Because he doesn't know Sarah isn't at home. J-Hun's expression shifted, something cold entering his eyes. She's been in protective custody since this morning. Seoul prosecutors. Separate location. Armed guards. Minwoo's people couldn't touch her if they tried. Understanding dawned. You let him think he had leverage. I let him think he won, because men who think they've won get careless. J-Hun pulled out his phone, made a call. He's moving. Track him. Don't lose him. And when he stops, when he thinks he's safe, call me. He hung up. Looked at Naomi. You're still streaming, right? She checked her phone. 15,000 people watching live. Good. Keep it running. I want witnesses for what comes next. They found Kwon downstairs, bleeding from a shoulder wound but alive. 3 of their people were dead, 5 more injured. Minwoo's assault had been brutal, professional. Only the fortified safe house structure had kept casualties from being worse. We need medical, Sungmin said, already applying pressure to Kwon's wound. And police. This is a crime scene now. Police are already on the way, J-Hun said. Someone called them 20 minutes ago. Anonymous tip about gunfire in Itaewon. Kwan looked up at him, understanding crossing her face despite the pain. You planned this. The whole thing. Let Minwoo attack so there'd be witnesses, evidence, proof he's violent and dangerous. I planned contingencies. Minwoo chose which one played out. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Naomi could see red and blue lights reflecting off nearby buildings. We need to leave before they arrive, Sungmin said. If police find us here, if they connect us to the bodies, but army us. No! J-Hun shook his head. We stay. We cooperate. We tell them everything. This stops being about family protection and starts being about justice. The organization will fracture. The families won't forgive transparency. Then let them fracture. Let them rage. I'm done protecting an empire built on fear and murder. He looked around at the damage, the blood, the bodies of people who died protecting him. My father spent 40 years building this, and it took Minwoo 3 weeks to weaponize it into something worse. If burning it all down is what stops him, then that's what we do. Police flooded the building minutes later. Ambulances, forensic teams, the machinery of law enforcement processing a crime scene that would dominate headlines for months. Detective Park Ji-Eun, the same one who'd arrested Minwoo earlier, approached J-Hun carefully. Mr. Kang, want to explain what happened here? Kang Minwoo violated his bail conditions, organized an armed assault, attempted murder, all while we were streaming evidence of his crimes to the public. J-Hyun gestured toward Naomi's phone. Still recording, still broadcasting. 15,000 witnesses, plus whatever security footage you recover, plus testimony from everyone who survived. Ji-Eun looked at the carnage. This is bigger than I can handle alone. I'm calling the prosecutor's office, special investigation unit. You're both going to need lawyers. We'll cooperate fully, Jae-hyun said. No immunity deals, no protection, just truth. The detective studied him. You understand that means exposing your entire organization? Everything your father built? I understand. Why? Because he's already destroyed everything worth protecting. All that's left is making sure he can't destroy anyone else. Mog. 40 minutes later, Jae-hyun's phone buzzed. The tracker. Minwoo had stopped moving. Location. A warehouse near Incheonport. Abandoned industrial district, far from surveillance cameras or witnesses. Jae-hyun showed Sungmin the location. He's there, probably meeting with remaining supporters, planning his next move. Or planning to disappear. Incheonport means ships, international waters. He could be on a cargo vessel to China within hours. Then we have hours. Jae-hyun looked at Detective Ji-Eun. I need to make a deal. What kind of deal? I give you Kang Minwoo, his location, his supporters, everyone involved in this conspiracy. You get the biggest organized crime arrest in Seoul history. In exchange, he paused. In exchange, you let me talk to him first, 5 minutes, alone, before you move in. That's not how this works. That's how this works if you want him. Otherwise he disappears, and you spend the next decade hunting him internationally while he bribes his way through extradition proceedings. Ji-Eun looked torn, glanced at Naomi. This your idea? No, Naomi said, but I'm coming with him, non-negotiable. You're both civilians. I can't authorize. You can, and you will, because you know we're right. You know Minwoo is dangerous enough that if we don't end this tonight, more people die. More families get destroyed. More evidence gets buried. Naomi stepped closer. 5 minutes. That's all we're asking. Then you get your arrest, your case, your conviction. Everyone wins except the murderer. Silence stretched. The detective's radio crackled. More units arriving. Reporters gathering outside. The situation spiraling toward media circus. Finally, Ji-Eun nodded once. 5 minutes. But I'm putting trackers on both of you. And if anything goes wrong, if he hurts either of you, my team moves immediately. Understood? Understood. They took a police vehicle, unmarked, followed by 3 more cars full of armed tactical units maintaining distance. The drive to Incheon felt longer than it was. Naomi's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She gripped her phone. Still streaming, still broadcasting to thousands of people watching this unfold in real time. The warehouse district was exactly what she expected. Rusted metal, broken windows. The kind of place where bodies disappeared. Minwoo's vehicles sat outside a large building, lights visible through cracks in the walls. The police unit stopped 2 blocks away, out of sight, waiting. J-Hun and Naomi approached on foot, slowly, quietly. No weapons visible, just 2 people walking toward confrontation. "Last chance to stay in the car," J-Hun said. "Stop trying to protect me." "Can't help it. Try harder." They entered through a side door. The warehouse opened into a vast space, empty except for Minwoo and 6 of his remaining supporters, sitting around a folding table, laptop open, discussing something that stopped the moment they noticed company. Minwoo smiled, tired now, pain finally catching up. "Cousin, Miss Adebayo, I should have known you'd find me. You always were persistent." He gestured at empty chairs. "Join us. Let's finish this properly." "Where are your men?" Jae-hyun asked. "The 23 who attacked the safe house?" "Gone. Disbanded. Paid off and sent away. Turns out loyalty has limits when the money stops flowing and the police start investigating." Minwoo's smile turned bitter. "I'm down to my core team now. 6 people who believe in me enough to risk prison. That's what 40 years of empire building gets you in the end. 6 loyal fools." "Then surrender. This is over. You've lost." "Have I?" Minwoo stood slowly, limp toward them. "You exposed my crimes, turned public opinion against me. Got me arrested and humiliated. But I'm still here. Still breathing. Still planning. Men like me don't lose, cousin. We adapt. Men like you go to prison. Maybe. Or maybe I disappear. Start over somewhere extradition doesn't exist. Myanmar, Cambodia. Somewhere Korean law can't reach." He looked at Naomi. "You understand, don't you? You ran to Seoul when New York became impossible. Same principle, just better resources." "I ran because I had no choice," Naomi said. "You're running because you're a coward. I'm running because I'm smart. There's a difference." "No, there's not." She stepped closer. Phone raised, camera capturing everything. Cowards justify their actions, blame circumstances, pretend they had no choice. But you did have choices. You could have built legitimate power, could have earned respect instead of stealing it, could have competed with Jae-hyun honestly instead of murdering his father and framing me for espionage. Every decision you made, every crime you committed was a choice. And now you're choosing to run because facing consequences terrifies you more than anything else. Minwoo's expression darkened. "You don't know anything about me. I know you beat your wife. I know you murdered your uncle. I know you destroyed my career because it was convenient for your conspiracy. I know exactly what you are. And what's that? A small man desperate to feel powerful, willing to hurt anyone who makes you feel weak." He moved fast, grabbed her phone, threw it across the warehouse. It shattered against concrete, stream ended, witnesses gone. "There," Minwoo said. "Now it's just us. No cameras, no audience. Just family settling family business." He pulled out a knife, the same one he'd used threatening Se-ra. "I'm done running, done pretending, done playing games with people who don't understand what power actually costs." He looked at his 6 remaining supporters. "Kill them, both of them. Make it look like they attacked us. Self-defense." The men hesitated, looked at each other. One of them, younger, maybe 25, stepped forward. "No," he said simply. Minwoo spun toward him. "What?" "I said no. I joined this organization to make money, to protect my neighborhood, not to murder unarmed people on camera for a boss who beats his wife and kills his family." The young man pulled out his phone, showed the screen. "That stream didn't end. It switched to my device, backup recording, everything you just said, about killing them, about self-defense lies. 40,000 people just heard it." Minwoo's face went white, then red, rage flooding through shock. "You betrayed me. You betrayed yourself." The young man looked at the others. "Anyone else want to stay? Want to go to prison for murder because this psychopath can't accept losing?" One by one, they walked out, left Minwoo standing alone, abandoned by everyone except his rage. Jae-hyun moved slowly, deliberately, until he stood face to face with his cousin. "It's over. Police are outside. Evidence is overwhelming. Your own people just turned on you. You have nothing left except the choice of how this ends. I could kill you right now. Minwoo's hand tightened on the knife. Slit your throat before anyone could stop me. You could try, but you're injured, exhausted. And honestly, I don't think you have the courage. You've spent your entire life using other people to do violence for you. I don't think you actually know how. Minwoo screamed, lunged with the knife. J-Hun sidestepped, grabbed his cousin's wrist, twisted until bones cracked and the knife clattered free. Drove his knee into Minwoo's injured shoulder, shoved him to the ground. Minwoo lay there, gasping, broken, tears streaming down his face, not from pain, from something worse, the complete destruction of everything he'd built, everything he'd believed about himself. I deserved this, he whispered. I was better, stronger, more capable. Father should have chosen me. Our father was a monster, J-Hun said quietly. He raised us to be weapons, taught us that love was weakness and trust was stupid, and the only thing that mattered was power. You learned those lessons perfectly, became exactly what he wanted, and look where it got you. He stepped back. I'm breaking the cycle. No more Kang Empire, no more criminal dynasty, no more teaching children that violence is the only language that matters. Police flooded the warehouse, tactical units, weapons drawn. They surrounded Minwoo, cuffed him, read him rights while he sobbed. Detective Ji-Eun approached Jae-Hyun. You got your 5 minutes. Was it worth it? Yes. Why? Because he needed to understand, needed to see that everything he destroyed people for, everything he murdered for, was worthless. That's a punishment worse than prison. They took Minwoo away, loaded him into an armored vehicle, drove towards Seoul and prosecution and justice that would take years to fully deliver. Naomi stood in the empty warehouse, watching red lights fade into distance. Her body felt heavy, exhausted beyond anything she'd experienced. It's done, she said. Not to anyone, just to the air, to herself. Jae-Hyun stood beside her. Not quite. Still need to testify, face investigation, rebuild everything we destroyed tonight. Is that even possible? Rebuilding? I don't know. Maybe. If we're honest about what we're rebuilding toward. He looked at her. I meant what I said, before the attack, about not wanting to lose you. Jae-Hyun, I know the timing is terrible. I know we've only known each other days. I know I manipulated you and endangered you and destroyed any rational reason you'd have to trust me. But he stopped, searching for words. You're the first person who ever made me want to be better, instead of just more powerful. And I don't know what that means or where it goes, but I know I don't want it to end here. Naomi stared at him. This man who'd approached her in a food tent 3 days ago, who'd weaponized her pain, who'd dragged her into a war she never asked for, who'd also been honest when it mattered, who'd protected her when he could have abandoned her, who'd chosen justice over empire. We're both disasters, she said finally. Completely. We've got trauma and trust issues and probably PTSD from the past 72 hours. Definitely. This is a terrible foundation for anything healthy. The worst. But she took his hand, felt the calluses, the scars, the damage. Maybe that's okay. Maybe disasters understand each other better than normal people ever could. He smiled, actual warmth. That's almost romantic. Don't push it. 3 months later, Naomi stood in a small courtroom in Seoul. Daniel Chen sat across the aisle, looking smaller than she remembered, scared in that particular way men get when consequences finally arrive. His testimony had been damning. 40 minutes of detailed confession about his arrangement with Minwoo, about stealing Naomi's work, about destroying her career deliberately and with full knowledge of what he was doing. The judge, a stern woman, maybe 60, with zero tolerance for corporate crime, listened without expression. When Chen finished, she looked at Naomi. Miss Adebayo, you have the right to make a victim impact statement. Would you like to address the court? Naomi stood, her hands steady. No shaking, no fear. Just clarity. 6 years ago, Daniel Chen stole my work, destroyed my reputation, made me unemployable in the field I'd spent my entire adult life building expertise in. I lost my career, my savings, my sense of safety. I spent years believing I was the problem, That I wasn't good enough, smart enough, worthy enough. She looked at Chen directly. You did that deliberately. Calculated every step. Made millions while I struggled to afford food. And you never felt guilty. Never apologized. Never even acknowledged what you'd done. Chen stared at his hands, couldn't meet her eyes. But here's what you didn't destroy, Naomi continued. My intelligence, my resilience, my ability to rebuild. I came to Seoul with nothing, found work, found allies, found proof of what you did. And now I'm watching you face consequences while I design encryption systems for one of Asia's largest technology firms. She paused. You tried to make me disappear. Instead, you made me stronger. So thank you for teaching me exactly who not to become. She sat down. The judge nodded once, turned to Chen. Daniel Chen, you're hereby sentenced to 8 years in federal prison for conspiracy, fraud, and theft of intellectual property. Additionally, you're ordered to pay restitution of $8 million plus interest to Miss Adebayo. Court dismissed. Chen was led away in handcuffs, still staring at the floor, still unable to face what he'd become. Outside the courthouse, J-Hun waited, wearing a simple suit, nothing expensive. He'd sold most of his father's assets, donated proceeds to victims of the Kang Syndicate's crimes, kept only enough to fund legitimate business ventures and legal defenses for people caught in the organization's collapse. How do you feel? He asked. Lighter, Naomi said, like I can finally breathe again. They walked through Seoul together. The city looked different now, brighter somehow, less hostile. Just a place where people lived and worked and built lives. Naomi had accepted a position at a startup, quantum encryption consulting, legitimate work, good money. Her reputation slowly rebuilding through publications and conference presentations and word of mouth from colleagues who remembered her actual talent instead of Chen's lies. J-Hun was harder to define, no longer a Mafia heir, not quite a legitimate businessman. Something in between. He testified extensively against remaining Kang Syndicate operations, helped prosecutors dismantle networks his father had spent decades building, faced death threats and assassination attempts, and kept going because stopping meant letting his father's legacy persist unchallenged. They'd both started therapy, individual and couples, working through trauma that would take years to fully process. Sarah called, J-Hun said. She finalized her divorce, moving to Busan, starting over somewhere Minwoo's name doesn't follow her. That's good. She deserves peace. She asked about you, wanted me to say thank you for being brave enough to fight back. Said it gave her courage to do the same. Naomi smiled. Tell her I said she was brave first. I just followed her lead. They stopped at a park, sat on a bench overlooking the Han River, watching sunset paint the water orange and gold. I keep thinking about that night, J-Hun said, in the food tent, when I first approached you. If I'd known then what it would cost, what you'd go through, I don't know if I would have done it. You would have. You were desperate. And desperate people make selfish choices. Does that make it okay? No, but it makes it human. She looked at him. You manipulated me, used me, put me in danger. Those are facts. But you also chose honesty when lying would have been easier. Protected me when abandoning me would have been safer. Changed when staying the same would have been more comfortable. People aren't just their worst moments. They're also what they choose to become afterward. And what am I becoming? Someone better, slowly, with a lot of stumbling. She took his hand, same as me. Silence settled between them, comfortable, hard-earned. A notification buzzed on Naomi's phone. Email from the startup, new contract offer, international expansion, bigger role, better pay. She showed J-Hun. They want me to lead their security division, full executive position. That's incredible. Are you accepting? I don't know. It's a lot of responsibility, a lot of visibility. Part of me wants to stay small, stay hidden, stay safe. And the other part? The other part remembers what you said, about not letting people who tried to destroy us win by making us afraid to exist. She smiled. Besides, I spent 6 years running from my own competence, pretending I was less than I am because being visible felt dangerous. I'm done with that. If I'm brilliant, I'm going to be visibly brilliant. If people don't like it, they can cope. That's the woman I remember from the boardroom, the one who wouldn't back down. She never left, just needed time to remember herself. They sat watching the river until stars appeared, watching the city light up, watching their lives continue forward. The past 3 months had been brutal. Investigations, trials, media scrutiny, rebuilding trust with people who'd been hurt by the Kong organization. J-Hun had spent weeks personally meeting with families his father had extorted, offering restitution, apologies, whatever repair was possible. Most accepted, some didn't. He kept trying anyway. Naomi had faced her own reckonings, interviews with journalists, congressional hearings about corporate espionage and international cybercrime, rebuilding professional relationships with colleagues who'd believed Chen's lies. It was exhausting, overwhelming. Some days she wanted to quit, to disappear, to go back to being invisible. But she kept showing up, because disappearing was what they'd wanted, what Chen wanted, what Minwoo wanted. Men who destroyed women and expected them to vanish quietly. Naomi refused to give them that satisfaction. "I have something for you," J-Hun said, pulled a small box from his jacket. Not jewelry, too practical for that. Inside, a key card, plain, no markings. "What is this?" "Office space, downtown Seoul, 32nd floor, 3,000 square feet. I leased it under your name. Thought maybe you'd want a place to build your own consulting firm, separate from the startup, somewhere you have complete control." Naomi stared at the keycard. "J-Hun, before you argue, hear me out. I'm not trying to control you or buy your loyalty or recreate old patterns. I'm trying to give you a foundation, a place where your brilliance isn't someone else's asset, where you own your work completely, where if someone tries stealing from you again, they're stealing from a company you built, not an employer who might not defend you." He met her eyes. "You deserve that. Not because of what happened, but because you're capable of extraordinary things, and you should have the resources to achieve them." Bullshots. She felt tears building, not sad, something else. Gratitude, maybe. Or recognition. "This is too much. It's not enough. But it's what I can offer. I don't know how to accept help. I'm not good at it." "Me neither. But maybe we learn together." Naomi looked at the key card, at the possibility it represented, at the future she could build if she let herself be vulnerable enough to try. "Okay," she said, "but I'm paying you back. Market rate, proper lease agreement, everything legal and documented. Deal. And if you try manipulating me again, if you slip back into old patterns, I'm walking away, no second chances. Fair? And we keep doing therapy, both of us, because neither of us is healed enough to make this work without help." "Agreed." She pocketed the key card. "Then I guess we're doing this." "Doing what?" "Building something. Together. Something that isn't empire or revenge or survival. Something that's just—" She searched for the word. "Ours." J-Hun smiled. Genuine, warm, the smile of someone who'd spent years performing power and finally learned authenticity. "I like the sound of that." They stood, started walking back toward the city, toward whatever came next, toward lives they'd build deliberately instead of lives chosen for them by circumstances and trauma and other people's cruelty. Behind them, the river flowed, constant, indifferent, carrying everything toward the ocean. And in Seoul, 2 damaged people walked forward, not healed, not whole, but choosing, every day, to become something better than what they'd been yesterday. Choosing honesty over manipulation, partnership over ownership, growth over comfort. It wasn't a fairy tale, wasn't a perfect ending. They'd still have fights, still struggle with trust, still carry scars that would never fully fade. But they'd survive, together. And sometimes, survival was its own kind of victory. Somewhere in a Korean prison, Kang Min-woo sat in a cell, awaiting trial for murder, conspiracy, assault, and a dozen other charges that would keep him locked away for decades. His empire gone, his family destroyed, his name a cautionary tale about ambition without conscience. Somewhere in an American federal prison, Daniel Chen served his sentence, reputation ruined, career destroyed, reduced to exactly the nothing he'd tried making Naomi become. And somewhere in Seoul, in a small apartment that felt like home, Naomi Adebayo fell asleep beside King J-Hun. Their breathing synchronized, their damaged hearts beating steady. Not because they were perfect, but because they'd fought for the chance to keep trying. And in the end, that was enough.